Yeah, if nobody in America understood your message, maybe you didn't tell your story right. Maybe it's not on everybody for not getting it. Wh- even now that they're explaining it, it's either 100% a story about race or 100% a story about Drake. 605 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. Cade Wazan producing. We're getting you ready for a busy Tuesday show. Starting you off at 65 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge, on the way up to 80 before it's all said and done today. We got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to talk tariffs. We're going to talk death penalty. We are going to talk business. We're going to talk law enforcement. It is all over the map. So let us not waste any time. Let us dive right in. Start off with top stories and trending. State District Judge Tarvald Smith rejected a request from Governor Jeff Landry on Monday to quash a subpoena for the governor's messages with LSU officials and the removal of LSU law professor Ken Levy from the classroom. The ruling came during a hearing in Levy's lawsuit against the university that is scheduled to continue today. Attorney Richard Sprinkle will be on with us tomorrow morning for Legally Served. And yes, we will be talking about this at length. First student bus drivers and community members are protesting this morning, taking action to achieve sanitary and safe work environments. The protest will be at First Students Bus Garage. That's on Jewel Road. It's going to get started right after we're done here at 9 a.m. The Comey River Diversion Project has run into more problems, and the completion date is being pushed back again. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers announced yesterday that the project, which started back in the 90s, won't be complete for at least another 2 years. The fate of Baker Heights Elementary School and Baker Middle School is up in the air after the school received over 4 consecutive F ratings each. Baker School District Superintendent James T. Stroder told parents in an email yesterday the consecutive failing ratings from the state education department could mean the Recovery School District might want to take over the campuses. The Baker School Board is going to meet tomorrow night to discuss next steps. 2 shootings that happened half a mile away from one another on Sunday night are connected, according to police. BRPD officers said 42-year-old Antoine Parker was found shot to death on Jackson Street near the corner of 30th around 7:45 p.m. Derek Holmes was on Monday. Derek Holmes was taken into custody in Parker's killing. Where did police find Holmes? Well, at 8:15 p.m. on Sunday, police responded to a separate shooting half a mile away from where Parker was killed. Holmes was the victim in that shooting. What's trending there, Cade?
The FAA announced on Monday they would be adopting the name Gulf of America on their maps.
And it's already shown up.
Has it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I understand it, it's already shown up. There's just certain things we chase that I don't know why we chase them.
Tune in Wednesday for a Gulf of America update with Kevin Ford at 6.
I was fishing in the Gulf of America.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I made fun of this early on, and then at some point, somebody said the same thing, which is, but I said, let's not forget, Biden banned drilling in the Gulf of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't ban anything in the Gulf of America. No. So drill, baby, drill. Let's go.
There you
go.
Elon Musk claimed early Monday that FEMA sent a staggering $59 million last week to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal migrants.
Yeah, last week,
when
they swore up and down this wasn't happening at all. All right.
Yep.
I know we don't talk about this Doge stuff a lot on this show because it is a local show. And not a lot of Doge has hit home here locally. But man, the more that keeps getting uncovered, the more layers of the onion that get peeled back. And look, most of what they find is probably going to be reinstated because most of what they find, I don't believe, came from the executive branch.
Mm-hmm.
The House holds the purse strings here, which means that the people that we elected to go to Congress are the ones who did all this. So I don't know how all of it's going to unfold. But boy, is it not eye-opening to see some of the dollars that they're finding along the way.
And finally, Brian, we have to invoke the shark alligator rule this morning.
Let's go. It's been a minute, man. We haven't had a shark alligator rule in a long time.
Yeah. I don't have the calendar on me, but I know that efforts in Louisiana to rebuild the alligator population have proven to be have been too fruitful. So with the population back to nuisance levels,
Yeah,
there's too many out there. Hunting season on gators has been lengthened.
So I believe.
So is this good for like A&E TV shows and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, it's good for all of it, man.
Yeah,
it's more tags will be available for a longer period of time.
A lot of Del Rey's getting out there.
I don't know. I don't know because it's like.
Well, he's a swamp tour guy. I don't think he's necessarily.
What, Lana Del Rey's husband?
Yeah.
He's well, but if he's a tour guide, he's got more gators to show off for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
I thought they collected tags too. Wouldn't he with like? Oh, what's the ones out of Hammond? He's not from Hammond, but oh man, now I'm not gonna remember the last
They get
name.
gators in Hammond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Look, I'm a purist from
on Swamp People when they would go to the different families and different hunters on Swamp People.
Yeah,
he was the one that was always wearing the overalls with no undershirt, so he would have like egregious nipple hanging out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not gonna remember his name now. Dang it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. So and by the way, we had a shark alligator rule, and we almost had 2 shark alligator rules this morning. I don't know where to. Well, okay, let's just say it right here. There was a shark attack in Bermuda yesterday. Yeah. And I believe a couple of Americans were hurt in said shark attack. So it's a little bit early in the year for people to be getting in the water. It's a little bit early in the year for anything reptilian to be of news, as you know, they're cold-blooded and what have you.
Yeah, I thought they're in a big nap right now.
Yeah. I don't know. You have that snow, and maybe it,
like I'm not gonna go out there and to the waters and test it, but I just feel like this is the time where they're getting their big nap.
Yeah. It's supposed to be. So.
Yeah.
But that is your shark alligator rule story for the day, which again, we haven't had in a hot minute. So, look at that. There's always somebody listening. Bruce Mitchell. That's the name. That's the name we were looking for right there. Shout out to Senator Caleb Klein-Peter for that contribution. That is your top stories and a look at what's trending this morning. We are due up for our first break. When we come back, Luka Doncic makes his debut with the Los Angeles Lakers last night. We'll talk about that and a few other things next here on Talk 107.3. Wait, hey, what is that? This is like a 10-year-old commercial. He just said, do you want to make your... He says, as we approach the new year, do you want to make the most of your investments in 2016? And whenever you get a chance, my live reads. Yes, that works for you. Landmark, yeah. Look for Cajun Soft Wash as well. I don't know if they started yet. Right. Yeah. Yeah. They started yesterday. Yes. Apple Maps not yet. No. Google has it. 6:15 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is sports time, and we saw the debut last night for Luka Doncic with the Los Angeles Lakers, donning, of course, number 77 with the team. Lakers, great night for the Lakers, a 132-113 win over the Utah Jazz. And Utah's terrible, but nonetheless, a 19-point win is a 19-point win, and you'll take it and run. Luka, however, not the biggest of debuts, not the biggest of performances. He had 14 points on the night. He only played 24 minutes. He's coming back from a mild injury, so that was to be expected. They were going to work him back in slowly, and obviously didn't really need him overall. He had 6 different Lakers in double figures. You had 3 different Lakers scoring in the 20s. So Doncic makes his debut appearance, puts up 14 points. After the game, how did he feel?
How did it feel to play in a Laker uniform?
Special, man. The way they received me, everybody, teammates, front office, everybody here. I heard a lot of noise when I was introduced, so I really appreciate it. It was a special moment.
What was the message from JJ, LeBron, and your teammates to you today?
Be you. Simple. Be you.
And we saw that Dirk Nowitzki was in the house here to support you today. What does that mean to have him here?
It means a lot. Great friend, great mentor. So it really means a lot that he was able to show up here. I'll see him now, but it really means a lot.
And then lastly, I know you guys still have to get comfortable with each other. Certainly it's only your first game, but how dangerous can this team be?
Very dangerous. I think the ball was moving very well on offensive end. I think we can lock down a lot of players. So I was just happy to be on the court again.
It might be worth throwing a couple dollars behind taking the Lakers to win the championship this year. Their odds improved greatly with the trade. And as you see Doncic move into a more comfortable level within that role, they're going to be a force, man. They're going to be tough. Meanwhile, how'd the other end of that trade play out? Well, Anthony Davis is now with the Mavericks. The former New Orleans Pelican, Anthony Davis, now with the Mavericks. And he's on the shelf. If you're a Pelicans fan, no surprise there. Going to be out for multiple weeks with a left adductor strain, which I looked up. That's the muscle on the inside of the thigh. Coming up tomorrow night, the LSU men's basketball Tigers are going to take on Arkansas for a little rematch. Tigers and Arkansas played a couple weeks ago. Arkansas, if you look at the record overall, they are 14-9 overall. They are 13th in the Southeastern Conference. They've only got 2 more SEC wins than LSU does right now. But man, from the last time these two teams have played till now, what we've seen from Arkansas is a lot hotter, a much better team. They are now they're 3-3 in their last 6 games since LSU beat them. But within that 3-3, it's worth noting they've got a win over a top ranked or a number 12 ranked Kentucky team, and a loss to number 3 overall Alabama, a loss by only 4 points of 85-81 in their last contest. So it'll be LSU and Arkansas tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on Eagle 98.1. By the way, while we're talking basketball, moving over to the women's side, you don't want to forget LSU women's basketball, no midweek game this week. They don't play again until Sunday, 2 p.m. Coach Kim Mulkey and the LSU Tigers going to hit the road to face Texas. You can hear the Tigers all season long right here on your home for LSU women's basketball. Talk 107.3 FM, going to be an absolute battle on the road because Texas's team, I believe, is number 4 in the country. If I have that right. Yeah, number 4 in the country. So coming off of a just an absolute battle on Super Bowl Sunday, taking on Tennessee on your home court, pulling out the 5-point win there. Now you go on the road to play the team that's, you know what? I said number 4 in the nation. They're actually number 3. So 24-2 overall is Texas. They moved up a spot this week to number 3. But it'll be LSU versus Texas Sunday at 2 right here on Talk 107.3 FM. We are due up for a quick break. We got so we got the Fox Business Report coming up. We'll check traffic when we come back. Let's talk tariffs next. I don't think it's yeah, we'll squeeze that into the 7:55 segment so it doesn't go to waste. Yeah. I think they go into breaking coverage when European markets open. And when the Nikkei opens. So it's like late at night and then early in the morning. All right, Broderick, Ed, I appreciate the feedback there. Bruce Mitchell was the guy's name. We get to Galen's comment in just a minute. No, I don't think Congress appropriated that money last week. I said when we go through everything that Doge is finding, we're going to find a lot of stuff that came from Congress. My apologies if that wasn't clear, but I said when they go through everything, a lot of the stuff. Never mind. All right, we've got an accident on I-110 southbound by Chippewa that is slowing things down on 110 southbound almost to really down to a crawl if you're headed this way. Delays will start back by Winnebago Street. I know there's no exit right there, but that's where they start, and they will continue up all the way through the accident, which, like I said, is at Chippewa. It'll pick back up after that. Moving off of I-110, I-10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish looks great. 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish looks great as well. On I-12, you got your normal volume. On I-12 westbound coming in from Denham Springs. Picks up, a little bit before Range Avenue and stays intermittent with the volume all the way until you get to the 10-12 merge. On your surface streets, only one accident to report, and it's up in Central from an hour ago. Denham Road and Greenwell Springs Road. That's your look at traffic from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. .625 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Don't forget Talk 107.3 and Citizens Bank and Trust want to help cover your car payments. It's a $5,000 grand prize with a bonus chance to win free car washes from Benny's Car Wash for 6 months. We are also letting you earn extra entries by subscribing to our Talk 107.3 Baton Rouge YouTube channel. To sign up, visit talk1073.com. So big announcement coming from the Oval Office yesterday. Last night, in fact, inside the Oval Office, President Donald Trump signing an executive order imposing a 25% tariff worldwide on steel and aluminum imports into the U.S. Trump calling it the first step of what he says is a multifaceted tariff plan to encourage American-made products. Cut one, please.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. This is the beginning of making America rich again.
The biggest takeaway from that little soundbite was this is the beginning. This is not the end. This is the means to the end. This is one part of an overall larger equation. And I know all the takeaways are going to be panic and screaming and gnashing of teeth because there will be implications. There are, for every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. And we tend to, especially in the modern news cycle, we tend to break things down as if each and individual thing is in a vacuum, and it's not. Pause on that for just a second. Let's get back to Donald Trump real quick. Because this being part of a bigger equation, well, Trump sounds off on it. Cut two.
Our nation requires steel and aluminum to be made in America, not in foreign lands. We need to create, in order to protect our country's future, a resurgence of U.S. manufacturing and production, the likes of which has not been seen for many decades.
We do like manufacturing here in the U.S. We have been struggling with that, like the president said, for many decades. And the only way to reverse course is to change things up economically. Now, whether or not 25% tariffs are the right answer or not, that will remain to be seen. Problem is, no one's going to know. Everyone can speculate, and we can hear from experts from every level, but no one knows until you see it. But if you want industry coming back, if you want manufacturing coming back, you have to do things to start this off.
It's time for our great industries to come back to America. I want them back to America.
Sticking with that theme, the steel and aluminum industries are he's starting here specifically because it bleeds over to so many different, so many other industries where it plays literally the parts that make up those industries. The president talked about why steel and aluminum to start off with.
Protecting our steel and aluminum industries is a must, and today I'm simplifying our tariffs on steel and aluminum so that everyone can understand exactly what it means. It's 25% without exceptions or exemptions, and that's all countries, no matter where it comes from.
Now, a lot of argument, a lot of pushback over putting tariffs on our allies, to which the response is, they put tariffs on us as well, right? I don't know why turnabout wouldn't be considered fair play here. I don't know why what's good for one is not good for the other. And I got to tell you, every news outlet that we see talks about things in more of a, I don't want to say like a classroom setting or every talks about things in theory, talks about what experts say, what economists say. And yes, you should lean on experts. And yes, you should lean on economists. You should lean on them very heavily because they have a lot of knowledge. But you know who I haven't heard from yet? I haven't heard from the people who would otherwise work in manufacturing in America. Programming note coming up Friday on the show. I believe it's Friday. It might be Thursday. Coming up later on this week, we're going to talk with one of those manufacturers. Ches Ciccone from Metal Fab Guy is going to stop by. They're right over in Livingston Parish. They're in Walker, and this is the business they're getting into. And they're out in front of the curve a little bit. They're out in front of the curve because they've already made the investment into what's going to come. But I can tell you right now that when we hear their story, what you're going to hear is a level of confidence to reinvest in America because of, and not because of the tariffs. They bought in before this, but because they saw bold action coming from Donald Trump. And investor confidence is a huge, huge factor in how things are going to play. Basically, the economy will often be a self-fulfilling prophecy. By the way, back to the president. This isn't the last of things to come when it comes to the tariffs.
We'll be talking about other subjects like cars. We'll be talking about drugs and pharmaceuticals. We'll be discussing chips. And we're going to be doing some other things in addition to that.
Now, some of that will play itself out just because of the steel and aluminum. I mean, what makes up cars, right? So, more to come, I'm sure, and it'll be quite the ride. Here's news. Yep. All right, Galen, let me just say it this way. He's not going to bat 1,000, and you're delusional if you think he is. We're going to find that a lot of this money is going back where it came from. Yep. All right, I'm already playing makeup on the all right, I'm gonna take Carrera all the way up to 49, and I'll do BTR airport. And then I'll do No, he's doing that. And if he bats 500, which is probably a reasonable number, if he bats 500, I think we're going to be better off as a nation. You're 100% right. Gus Fring? Wait. No, it's Giancarlo something. Esposito, that's it. No, Pollo Hermanos. See, Patrick, look at the comment right above yours. I think that would disagree with you. And I'll go a step further and say I think there's spending we're going to find that isn't necessary that we still want anyway. Like we're going to find spending that's still necessary. We're going to find reasons why it's necessary, but then we're going to find some stuff. $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq. I'll give that the thumbs up. They do. They do. They have for I don't know. But I have no problem with Iraq doesn't speak Spanish. But like
I had my back to guys who were from Spain last week, and behind them they spoke Portuguese. Between them and T-Bob Young, I didn't know what that was.
what a ride.
They showed up like occasionally.
What? What, the yellow mic table? Yeah. We should have taken a picture of the yellow mic table because it's just that's what it's gonna be known as is the yellow mic table. They had a table. It was, I guess, for were they podcasters? They really looked like podcasters, and I say that with all impunity. But there's like 6 microphones around the table, and they're all on these little mic stands, and they all have these bright yellow, like highlighter yellow wind socks on the microphones. And it's like, you're inside. No wind. Just, yeah. What are you doing? Forecast, once again, going to be all over the place for the remainder of the week. Here it is with Emma Kate Cowan. Oh, you and I are going to disagree on that. Cool. See, I'm not opposed to public broadcasting. Patrick, we absolutely can, but I feel like that's a wasted emotion. All right. Coming up on 638 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Time to check in down in New Orleans, where basically everything is a rave review, sans the halftime show. Joining us now, the host of... Sorry, needed to hit the cough button there. Joining us now is Jeff Creer. How are you, man?
I echo that. I mean, what was that? I mean, gosh.
Well, here's the thing. We were told all day yesterday that we just didn't get it. Nobody got the message. Well, how about this? If nobody got the message, maybe you didn't tell the story right.
I think the NFL needs to redo the whole concept. I mean, maybe not give it to Jay-Z to plan every year. I mean, that's really, this is all a Jay-Z production, but,
yeah.
I was at an event and everyone there gave it a thumbs down. I'm talking about everyone. Mm-hmm. So everything else, of course, was fantastic. I thought it was a home run for the city. I mean, just a fabulous commercial for New Orleans. But that halftime show I just thought was ridiculous.
Well, and it wasn't even the genre of music. It was the fact that it narrowed it down to one age group. Like, you narrowed it down to if you're over the age of 30, you're not interested. If you're over the age of 40, you have no clue. So
Right.
it just to from a sheer marketing perspective, to tell that much of your overall audience that, you know what, y'all sit this one out. I don't know what that
Right.
says to the advertisers as well. Perfect example. Perfect example. It's not rap music. It's the fact that it was Kendrick Lamar. 2 years ago, when the Super Bowl was in LA, they nailed it with Dre and Snoop. I mean, that was an almost perfect halftime show. One of the best of my lifetime.
hmm
So and you just,
Well, it certainly appealed to a broader spectrum of viewers.
you get a little
And
nostalgia.
mhm,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And you got to think you got a wide range of viewers, tuning in, not just young kids. So anyway, that was just a real miss. But I mean, I loved the New Orleans music before the pregame, which was great.
Oh, it was so
And
on point. And to
yeah,
mix
and
so many different genres of music into one little 10-minute or 15-minute segment, the way
Right.
that all crossed over like that, it was the true telling of the story of what New Orleans is.
so that was awesome. And then, of course, the commentators were very pro New Orleans, which was good. And a lot of it was, hey, we want to support the city after the terror attack and after everything New Orleans has been through. And that, I think, gave people, more of a desire to sort of help promote the city. And it really, I mean, everything was executed flawlessly. I mean, the security, the entertainment, I mean, the weather, our
Right.
weather cooperated. I mean, it was, fabulous weather. So that helped as well.
We're talking with Jeff Carrere, getting a little recap on the week that was down in New Orleans. Jeff, after you and I talked last Tuesday, I headed down to New Orleans and checked out the media event over at the Louisiana Now Pavilion. And I got to tell you, so it was a media event, so I didn't get to meet with any of the big business leaders that were coming through. Everybody I talked to was, a media person from somewhere around the country. And I'm talking to, it was a guy who runs a magazine out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and a beat reporter from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And both of them were saying the same thing. They go to the Super Bowl every year, and they have never seen a state try to put on an economic development front for this game. And this was something new. Caught them both by surprise. They were both unbelievably impressed with the idea. I've got to believe this is going to net some kind of results.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an excellent partnership with the, GNO Inc., the city, and the state. I mean, Jeff Landry really got super involved, and I think it all paid off. He just wanted to make sure that it was a big success, and it certainly helped. And then, of course, having the president here for the first time ever to have a president at a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Was great. Just brought additional prestige and exposure to the big game. And then obviously Taylor Swift. She didn't have a very good night, but all of it, and all the celebrities. I mean, there were so many celebrities that participated in it and that were here.
Bradley Cooper drove his food truck in to sling cheesesteaks. I mean,
right.
Pretty impressive right there. Yeah, and the Taylor Swift. I'm not big on booing somebody because of their political affiliations. I mean, hell, Taylor Swift did shows and sold out that arena, sold out the Superdome. I mean, it's not like she doesn't have fans around here as well.
Oh, I mean, she's popular among, again, a certain age group, especially. Mm-hmm. And I think it was just a lot of people were just sick of seeing her, focused, during games. And I think the NFL maybe has overdone it over the past few years with her. But she was not received too warmly. President Trump was. Huge cheers for him. And I hear he left at halftime, which made sense because I think he was pulling for the Chiefs. They didn't have a very good night. So the game itself, you have to say, Brian, the game itself sucked. I mean, it was just not a very good game.
It was not a very good game. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they snubbed him for the White House visit, which would be why he would be pulling for the Chiefs on Sunday.
And he's, a big fan of Patrick Mahomes' wife, who I think is a big MAGA person. So, I don't know what's going to happen. That'll be interesting to see if they go. And I know he just had the NHL team. What is it? The Panthers, the Florida Panthers, mm-hmm. the Stanley Cup winner. They just had a big ceremony at the White House. It'll be interesting to see whether the Eagles go. I know Biden hosted a lot of the winning teams. They should go, for goodness sakes. I mean, it's prestigious. I mean, it's a tradition.
Yeah, and you can't worry about who the president is. You're not visiting the
Right.
president. You're visiting the office. It's
Yeah, and
it-
you're doing it for your team, you're doing it for your fans. Yeah, I would hope that they take advantage. I'm sure they'll be invited. I hope they go.
yeah, same. All right, so the next chapter is how do we carry this over to Mardi Gras?
Well, I think the security is going to be super tight. My feeling is that since it's a late Mardi Gras, you're going to have a big crowd. It's going to be, actually, we are looking at 3 weeks from today, if I'm not mistaken. So 3 weeks from today is the big event. And yeah, I think they just need to make sure that the people that come here are safe. And I know they're going to have a good time. And I know it's going to be probably a huge crowd. So yeah, we want to turn it into a very successful Mardi Gras. And I would think the number one priority is just keeping everyone here safe. And
No,
it looks like
good.
they're making progress doing that. I mean, it looks like they've done a good job with the public safety part. I went down to the French Quarter. I mean, Bourbon Street, you felt safe there, Brian, completely safe.
Yes. Yeah, so all of my I made visits on Tuesday and Thursday. Both of them I was at the convention center. And walking from one side of the convention center to the other, you're gonna put in 2 miles. But there was not a corner turned. There was not a time where I was walking where I didn't see at least a pair of state police or a pair of NOPD, or the presence was overwhelming.
Overwhelming. Yeah, overwhelming.
And yet not intrusive.
No, it just made people feel safe. I mean, people, I think, were reassured. And, the media gave it a lot of good coverage. Say, hey, it's safe. People feel like there's a great police presence here. This is keeping everyone safe. So I think that added to the positive reporting about the event. And I think that's just going to be carried over to Mardi Gras. I think we'll see more security than ever for Mardi Gras. And remember, this, Mardi Gras lasts for a few weeks. So we're into it now. We're going to be having parades and balls and events from here on in. So it's a sprint to March 4th.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I would have to imagine, and I should probably get either Mark Romig or Walt Leger back on the phone for this one, but I would have to imagine that any remaining hotel rooms for Mardi Gras are being scooped up this week. I mean, you have that level of commercial for the city and for the state, for that matter. You have that level of promotion with those number of rave reviews, and
Right.
there will almost be a 1-to-1 takeaway of, oh, I saw this on TV, now I booked my reservation.
Right. And there was a lot of talk about Mardi Gras. I mean, Mardi Gras was mentioned so often. I think it is going to spur more interest and more attendance. And yeah, I think the hotels are going to do very well. And it's good to hear because a lot of the businesses down in the quarter really suffered in January. It was a bad month for them because of, the aftermath of that terror attack. There was a decline in
Well, then you had a
visitors.
week where nobody could get out of their house as well.
The blizzard, exactly. So it was a tough month, and to have this really helped. And I think, Mardi Gras will continue it. Baton Rouge did well. I mean, there were a lot of people that, booked hotel rooms in Baton Rouge for
We were full.
the Super Bowl.
We were, well, if we weren't full, we were pretty darn close to full in Baton Rouge. And yeah, there were a lot of folks that were making the daily commute. We had a ton of law enforcement staying in Baton Rouge as well. So the presence the spillover was definitely felt. And one of my biggest concerns going in was that Baton Rouge was going to lose to the Gulf Coast. And it doesn't look like it played out that way.
No, I think Baton Rouge did very, very well. And I know some of the rates, like in New Orleans East, which is not a prime spot for visitors, through the roof. So, the hotel owners did well. Everybody did well. I mean, it was really an amazing and just once in a lifetime type of an event. And I'm hoping, Brian, it's going to lead to maybe New Orleans getting the Super Bowl sooner than having to wait another 12 years.
The endorsement is already out there for 2029. I mean, that's the next available one, and the bid will be in for it for sure. And God knows we got a lot of support for it right now. So in the meanwhile, we got 3 weeks until Mardi Gras Day. I mean, it's carnival season, but what are you working on? What's hot on the show right now?
I mean, what really is interesting is, we're ringside politics. So we're looking at politics, and we're looking at the decision Oliver Thomas is going to make during Mardi Gras as to whether he's going to run or not. So, I mean, will we have a mayor's race in New Orleans is really going to be an interesting topic. I mean, right now you've got a front runner who's got the lead in the polls. She's got a lot of money, and a lot of people are deciding not to run against her. So normally when you have an open mayor seat, you have a huge field, and it looks like this time there possibly could be two major candidates or maybe just one.
Unreal.
So that's going to be something to really look at over the next few weeks.
Absolutely. Well, your show's coming up in 10 minutes, so I got to let you run to get on the air. We always appreciate the time, Jeff. Talk to you soon.
Okay, Brian.
All right,
you,
thanks.
man.
Yep. 6:50. Here's Your Money Now. Good segment. I wanted to do my live read right there, but we were rolling. Troy says, weren't the Swift boos more likely from the Philly side because of her KC loyalty? I don't know, but everything plays out on a political front, which is sad, but maybe I'm just as guilty. Do what? She's from Pennsylvania? Mike Schmidt. Yeah. Why? Oh, because Bragg was a Confederate leader, not an American. Okay, but they named it after a different Bragg now. Wait, so the base's original namesake, General Braxton Bragg, a Confederate general from Warrenton, North Carolina, was known for owning slaves and losing key Civil War battles, contributing to the Confederacy's downfall. So the Pentagon, Hegseth, is renaming it to PFC Roland L. Bragg, who was a World War II hero. So that would be like renaming Lee Circle in New Orleans after Harry Lee. Right. Harry Lee was Jefferson Parish. Yeah. Oh, no, I walked down this path when it happened. But yes, Argus. She caught it in Argus. They had the Harry Lee float every year. I don't know if they still do it, but we have all of them. Like we have Fat Harry Lee, we have Skinny Harry Lee, we have Buddha Harry Lee, and we have from the St. Patrick's Day Parade Irish Harry Lee. 6:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We are just getting started, y'all. We're almost an hour into the show, and we got so much more coming. What are things looking like business-wise on the west side? Anna Johnson from the West Baton Rouge Chamber hopping on board at 7:15. We're going to talk law enforcement at 7:35. Baton Rouge Police Chief TJ Morse going to join us. I want to talk about the shot spotter cameras with the chief. Good discussion set up right there. In our 8 o'clock hour, we're going back-to-back guests. We've got Mayor President Sid Edwards at 8:05. Want to talk about dipping into the library's funds, undedicating the library's funds to pay for more law enforcement. It's a good idea, but it's a longer discussion to have. I say it's a good idea. That's my opinion. I'm editorializing. 8:15, we're going to talk with Andrew Ward from The Boot. If you have not heard of The Boot, you need to. And that's not editorializing. That is fact. Taking care of our veterans in Louisiana. And we're going to wrap up our guest list with State Senator Blake Miguez at 8:35. The question for Blake Miguez, all the momentum went into all those sessions of last year. Everything that got done in the Capitol. How do we keep our foot on the gas? How do we maximize on it? How do we take those next steps? We always take one good step in Louisiana. How do we take steps 2, 3, and 4 and do that in a fiscal session this year? Oh, before we get into our next news item, got to remind you about the folks over at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Been telling you every day, if you're making the family vacation plans right now, if you're looking at something that involves a flight, give Baton Rouge Metro Airport the full consideration. Check them out online at flybtr.com. But when I say the full consideration, don't just look at direct flights and straight up ticket prices. What I want you to consider is what it takes to drive down to New Orleans. Hour and 20 minutes if you want to get into the airport. Now take into account the cost of parking. Huge. When you look at the full experience from Baton Rouge Metro Airport versus MSY, it's clear. It is so clear that you're going to get a more convenient experience, more user-friendly experience by flying BTR. Check them out online at flybtr.com. And don't forget, if you got business in Washington, D.C., they've got a daily flight. Flies out at 7 o'clock or 7:15 in the morning, flies back in the evening. You get business done same day. For that, go to flybtr2dc.com, flybtr2dc.com. All right, one of the bigger news items coming down yesterday, and you heard a little bit of this in news at the bottom of the hour. Governor Jeff Landry says the state is ready to execute death row inmates again. Landry says the Department of Corrections has finalized an updated execution protocol, including procedures for nitrogen hypoxia, which the state legislature approved last year. Political analyst Bernie Pincinette says capital punishment has always been a controversial issue.
It's been a long journey. It's been a journey of ups and downs.
Was that 13? That was 13? They might have the wrong spots loaded in there. All right. Well, it's been since 2010, the last time the state carried out an execution. The inability to get the drugs to carry out that execution was a major reason why the state has not had an execution in over a decade. Former John Bell Edwards was also anti-death penalty, so that factors into it as well. But now you have different method of execution, a pro-death penalty governor. And oh, by the way, the attorney general also backing the governor on this one. Liz Murrill put out a statement yesterday saying, quote, "In Louisiana, we have the death penalty and we intend to use it. Those sentenced to death have been convicted by a jury of their peers for the most heinous and barbaric crimes imaginable. These are the worst of the worst. During last year's legislative session, lawmakers approved new methods to execute these violent criminals. Governor Landry and I are committed to moving this process forward to finally get justice for victims. As Attorney General, I look forward to each judge upholding their statutory duty to execute these death warrants according to the law. The families of these victims have waited long enough for justice, and Louisiana will put them first." So, strong words coming from the state's Attorney General. All right, it's 7 o'clock. Here comes news. You're right here. We're always on Facebook Live. So, hey, we're going to blow out top stories and trending. Keep everything on time. So we're on Facebook Live right now. We're not on air yet. We'll be on air in 2 minutes. Ooh, y'all make it easy on your website. Well, you get all the numbers right there.
Well, it gets even better if you go to our dashboard, because you everything you want.
Okay. And when is the actual anniversary?
Today.
It's today.
It's today.
Okay. Sorry. I hate when I screw things up. Yes. Yep. 704 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Busy hour this hour. We're going to talk business on the west side. Anna Johnson from the West Baton Rouge Chamber going to join us in our next segment. We're going to talk law enforcement with Baton Rouge Police Chief TJ Morris coming up later on in the hour. But right now, flipping the format a little bit. Normally we have top stories and trending right here, but there's a big anniversary going on in town over at the Bridge Center for Hope. Want to welcome to the show Charlotte Claiborne. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I couldn't be happier to have you in here. Y'all have been doing some work.
We have been busy, yes.
Let's talk a little bit about, before we get into the anniversary, let's talk about how y'all came to be. How did the Bridge Center for Hope come to be?
So it's really a long story, but to give you the cliff notes of it, a lot of the community advocates and law enforcement, first responders had a need for someone to a place for someone to go that was having a mental health or a substance use crisis. We know that when Earl K. Long closed in 2012, it closed the mental health emergency room extension.
Right.
And so after that, you had only 2 places to go when people were having a behavioral health crisis, and that was either to the emergency rooms, which we know are crowded from time to time, or to parish prison.
Right.
And so to combat that, or to act as a diversion or as an alternative, that's kind of what gave birth to the Bridge Center for Hope. I mean, it was something that was created in 2016, and you had to educate the public, kind of figure out what it is that we as a community needed.
Mhm.
And that's how we kind of evolved into what we are right now.
And celebrating the anniversary, you said today.
Today on February the 11th, 2021, we opened our doors.
Wow. All right. So the numbers are pretty staggering. It is equal parts reassuring that you're there and alarming that you're this needed.
Correct.
Walk the folks through a little bit of the number of people that have walked through your doors and what kind of outcomes we see.
So that we've helped a little bit over 11,000.
Mhm.
The new numbers will come out. The new census will come out later on this afternoon. But as of today, we've helped over 11,000 individuals with their mental health and substance use recovery needs. And as you were stating, it is a staggering number when you look at the overall arching picture of how many people that are needing help. And that number tends to trend up every single year.
Mhm.
We did have a little blip. Usually you have a blip after there's a tragic event. So like in 2016, there was a increase.
Yeah.
The flooding and everything else would happen then. And we had a little lull right during COVID because nobody was getting out. But as soon as we opened up our community and everybody started getting out again, that we saw another little jump and increase in numbers of individuals who were having mental health crises then as well. And it's just kind of has steadily trended up ever since.
Now, that being said, though, the work that y'all are doing is showing net effects. This is not just a straight up revolving door. The number of people that come into your building are not necessarily the same people coming back to your building.
Correct.
Looking at your dashboard right now, where it says admission 10,581.
Correct.
Readmitted 1,725. Does that tell me that roughly 8,300 you've only seen once and then they're on their way?
No, so that readmission is individuals who've come in a 30-day time frame.
Oh,
so if they
okay.
came, the first and they came
Fair.
again on the 15th, that's that readmission. So
Gotcha.
but that 10,000, I'm going to say roughly about 8,000 of those are probably new individuals that have come to the facility.
Well, that's a big number.
It is.
That's a good turnout. That's a good ROI, if you will. I mean, I hate to put it in economics terms, but
I look at it as lives helped.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. And if they're moving on their way, or if they're on their path back towards a little bit more stability, a little bit less usage. Let's talk about a couple of the different things y'all do over at the Bridge Center for Hope, because mental health and substance abuse, there's a Venn diagram there, but they are still separate things. How do you approach these things differently?
Well, there are separate things, but a lot of people who have substance use issues also have a mental health. So we call those co-occurring.
Okay.
So when we look at our chart or our dashboard, when we're talking about that substance use, more than likely there is a co-occurring underlying cause with that. Some people have strictly mental health issues, but for the most part, individuals who have a substance use issue, there is an underlying mental health issue. It may not be as prevalent. It may be considered a secondary, but it's still a high number in that. And there is on the dashboard that tells you like that percentage wise as well. But we treat them differently in a sense that when someone comes to our facility, because we are a short-term crisis stabilization facility. So when someone comes, we do an immediate assessment. That's what sets us apart from the emergency room. We're not a hospital, but what we do is when someone comes into a facility, we immediately start assessing them to try to meet their needs and where they are. So we can kind of figure out what it is that they need at that point. So If it is a substance use issue, then we start working toward that. And if that person needs a 28-day residential program, then we work with our community partners to go ahead and get them referred in so that they can continue their continuum of care. If someone comes in with a mental health component, once we stabilize that individual, what we do is upon discharge, we discharge them with a plan for them to continue their care with a provider to be able to continue that counseling session or whatever else that they need.
How difficult was it to find out that lane? I mean, because short term, you've got an investment, but you also have to hand them off.
Correct. It was not as difficult as people seem to think, because we had a year to plan. So in 2020, when we were doing the facility, we were going out into the community. We were learning who our providers were. I can honestly say we had more providers that came to us to let us know what services they provided. And because of those things, it gave birth to something different that we do in May. But we just basically use our community to be able to hand these individuals off and continue their care. So that was the whole purpose of the Bridge Center, was to be able to stabilize those individuals and then be able to give them a warm handoff so they can continue.
We're talking with Charlotte Claiborne from the Bridge Center for Hope, celebrating their anniversary today. Law enforcement into this, because this was the original pitch behind the whole place, was that you can't arrest your way out of mental health and substance abuse. What's the reception been from their end to be able to have your front door to drop someone off at?
I think the chief is coming. He's also on my board as well. But one of the things that we've done with law enforcement, it gives them a 5-minute. It's under 5 minutes, so it allows. We have a dedicated interest for first responders. So EMS, law enforcement comes, and so what they'll do is they will come to the facility. They have a back entrance, give us the collateral information, hand off the individual to us, and go on their day. So it's under 5 minutes for them. So it has been a tremendous help for them, or asset for them, to be able to go and continue their safety.
Comparatively speaking, how, if they in the old days before y'all existed, when someone was arrested, how long was an officer off the streets in order to book them?
So originally it was like anywhere between 45 minutes to a couple of hours. When they would go to the emergency room. With us, it's under 5. So I think on our chart, I think we're like at 3.7 minutes or so.
You got so many charts.
Well, one of the things that we had to do is to make sure that our community understood what we were doing, because we are a community asset. We're funded partially by our property tax, and we want to be as transparent as we possibly could.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at entrance type, first responders. There's the tab I'm looking for. Man, y'all are really transparent. Look at this.
We are.
We're talking with Charlotte Claiborne from the Bridge Center for Hope, celebrating their anniversary today. Let's talk for just a little bit about what the future holds. What are the goals? What are the plans for Bridge Center?
Well, the goal has always been to stand up a mental health facility for adults and then eventually work our way to the adolescent youth. That's been a little challenging because in Louisiana, crisis services is new. The state just implemented their crisis plan in 2022. So we're a little bit behind some states, but we're still ahead of many. So with that being said, our goal is always to be able to duplicate this service with the adolescent population. We know that mental health does not start at the age of 18. We want to be able to help those young individuals be able to start getting counseling, the services, and the help that they need.
Do we have a rough number of how much demand there is for that?
Not offhand, but I do know that 1 in 5 individuals in the country say they have a mental health component. So I'm assuming that 1 in 5 includes the adolescent population as well.
Yeah. Well, okay, but there's no way to determine how many of that 1 in 5 has an outlet right now.
Well, right now, the only thing that would happen with kids or adolescent populations, they would have to go to the hospital.
Right.
And that's their only outlet right at this moment, other than outpatient services. But that initial crisis is they're going to have to go to the emergency room.
We got about 3 minutes left talking with the Bridge Center for Hope, celebrating their anniversary. What have been your biggest challenges over these first couple of years?
Funding.
Okay.
Right off the bat, funding. And let me tell you why. Because, again, mental health crisis services was really introduced to Louisiana. The Bridge Center, first and foremost, the Bridge Center is the only crisis receiving center in the state.
Okay.
And we're still the only crisis receiving center. So when we opened, we were opening the doors and trying to pave that way to make sure that our community in our state was able to recognize crisis care. So when you're first, you kind of go through all of these different obstacles, trying to get rates set aside for Medicaid, trying to be able to just be able to handle the cost of care to provide for these individuals has
Right.
been a challenge.
So where would help in funding come from? Would it come from the local government?
It will come from the state.
Okay.
It will come from the state. And the reason why I say that, I mean, because we're partially funded, I think about roughly 70% of our population is Medicaid based. So if we could get sustainable rates for Medicaid, that will help out tremendously, not just with us, but it would also allow other crisis providers to stand up in the state as well.
Are y'all able to show like impacts of like what the cost, because the cost is cheaper by going through y'all than the way we used to do it. So how can we show a definitive number to show what y'all have actually saved us?
Well, what we can do, there are things on our website that talks about funding source. And if you look on our tab, it'll basically show what the Bridge Center has covered. But again, when we're talking about the funding source and what we've saved, you would have to compare rates with emergency rooms versus our services, and we don't have that information readily available. But what we can do is, and there's talking points on SAMHSA website and things that talks about what a crisis service saves, and it roughly saves thousands of dollars per visit. Because if you go to emergency room, you're by the time you're walking out the door, you're paying about $2,000 or so dollars. We're half of that in terms of crisis care.
When it comes to the people that are walking through your door, what kind of demographic breakdown do we have?
So the demographic is usually it's about 80% male, 20% female is our demographic. And our age population, usually between 25 and 34 is the average age range for the adults that come into the facility.
So looking at the chart right there, you got a big chunk that's 25, 34, but another chunk that's 35, 54.
Yes.
Because you got one that spans 10 years and one that spans 20 years. And the one that spans 10 years is more than half the size of the one that spans 20 years. So it does kind of stick out a little bit.
It does.
Is there any way to extract from that what a bigger problem is that's going on right now?
Right now, when we're looking at I think it's a whole lot of socioeconomic issues that we're facing that makes up that demographic. That's that generation that's trying to figure it out, trying to go through things. The stresses of that demographic is a lot higher. And I think we look at our economy, we look at our just everything that comprises what will cause someone to go into crisis. It's not just mental health or substance use issues. There are things that lead up to that. Family issues, you have housing issues, you have financial issues, all of those things. And I think that helps define that particular that demographic there.
We got just a minute left with Charlotte Claiborne from the Bridge Center for Hope. So what are the plans for today? What are we doing to celebrate?
We are, I don't like to use the word celebrate because we're dealing with individuals who are having crisis situations.
Okay.
But, that's.
But the fact that there's help out there is cause, yes.
Yes. So right now, today, we're just still trying to be able to educate the community on what we do, educate the community on all of the resources that we have. One of the things that we do in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, is we do the Bridging the Gap community event. So this will be our 5th year. And what we do is we invite about 35 to 40 vendors that provide services here in our community. We meet at the Goodwood Library and we allow the public to come out and learn about all the services. It's not just mental health and substance use, it's everything. You have legal services there. You have childcare services. You have everything that can heal the whole person at that event. And then we take that and we go on the road in the summer called Bridging the Gap to Go, where we go to different community centers throughout the summer to be able to provide not only resources, but we start doing screening events. We have Open Healthcare South that comes out to be able to provide these screens, and Our Lady Lake. All of those individuals come out to help the community as well.
Let's get you back on when it's time to talk about that. She is Charlotte Claiborne with the Bridge Center for Hope. With their I'm doing the math in my head. 4th anniversary now. Yes. Sorry. You can't ask me to math in the morning. Charlotte, I appreciate you stopping by for a couple minutes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We are due up for a quick break. When we come back, we head to the other side of the river. Well, no, the other side of the river heads in to talk with us. Anna Johnson from West Baton Rouge Chambers up next.
Whew.
Too fast? Okay. Yeah. Thank you for moving up a couple minutes. That was my screw up entirely.
Oh, no.
So, yes, let's set up for May.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're good?
We're awesome.
Okay.
Like your shoes, Brian. Yes. Thank you, Charlotte. Good morning.
How are
I
you?
am very well. How are you?
Oh, just got back from Mexico and weather.
Ugh. I saw that on Twitter. Like, you can tell me to like go away.
No, I got back Sunday, but it's like a 48-hour recovery, especially with the group that I go with. So it's really, but it was fun. It was good. It was much needed. So I wasn't here
Where
for
at
all the
Mexico?
Super Bowl chaos. Cancun.
All inclusive.
Oh yeah, but it was a new one.
Okay.
Like they just finished building it in November.
Okay.
But the food was fantastic. Normally, I'm not like a resort food person, because they make so much of it in bulk because there's so many people, like it's
Yeah.
never good. But it was actually I was very impressed. So big fan of good food.
What are we covering today?
Oh, I made a list. Okay. Pickleball courts.
Oh, good God.
So exciting. The STEM challenge with the Career Academy. Go Jobs Fair, the Placid expansion, a possible hospital in the works. That could be the finale. Will be a big one. We have a work thing to come up. And then if you want to talk session, we can talk session. Just give you all the things.
Yup. That's what we're here for.
I'm here for it.
720 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We keep on moving. Let's head to the other side of the river, or welcome the other side of the river over. From the West Baton Rouge Chamber, Anna Johnson, welcome back. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing very well this morning. Y'all got a lot going on right now.
Always.
Yeah. Let's talk business first.
Okay.
Placid expanding?
Yes. So they have an ITEP on the CNI board agenda February 26th. So super excited about that. This will be their first ITEP since I think the last one they had was in 2015. So I think that was before even the John Bell came in and changed the rules, and now they've been changed again. So this will be a good learning experience for both of us.
Well, okay. So with the new ITEP, what does that mean in like real terms? What does that mean as far as expansion, as far as new jobs, as far as new facilities?
Yeah, so when LED started reforming the ITAP process, the goal was to make it more simple. So they want to remove those barriers to doing business in Louisiana. And one of them was all the red tape that these companies were having to do with some of these state programs. And so they basically stripped away some of the compliance requirements.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of takes one of those papers off the table that these companies have to file that don't really have to do with economic development. So,
Right. Well, they don't have to do with investment. I mean, investment and more importantly, reinvestment, which is what we're seeing here.
Exactly.
Timelines on this.
Ooh, they've already started. So they started last summer with the expansion, and I think it's going to be done in December of 2026. So
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick turnaround.
I know.
Unreal.
We're excited. We love it. They had another expansion last year, as you know. They actually closed up their corporate headquarters in Dallas and moved them to downtown Baton Rouge. So they're right around the corner from you.
Which was why I wanted to lead with them, because it's an example of the reinvestment showing. It's an example of doubling down on our hometown.
Yes.
So it's important. That's why I wanted to.
So it was a win for two parishes.
Yes, and then we'll
that.
just keeping up with that momentum and that level of just overall excitement. Y'all got pickleball courts coming in.
Yes. So this is a great piggyback to Placid, because Placid is actually sponsoring the pickleball courts.
Okay.
So Parks and Rec wanted to add a component to our parish that was starting to trend that we were seeing around different parishes, and this is like the new thing. I mean, this is really a sport, which is crazy, because yesterday we actually had a brief meeting with Placid, and Rob, who's the site manager there, is a volleyball player.
Okay.
But he plays pickleball, and so the parish has a great relationship with them, and they asked for the money, and Rob said sure. So I mean, this is just another good example of good relationship between industry and the parish, and then just in general. I mean, it's a mutually beneficial relationship.
All right, so you got to forgive me because this is a craze that I'm not yet on board with. And I say not yet on board with because if you had asked me a couple months ago, I said I would never be on board with. But I'm starting to come around. Pickleball is like tennis for people who don't like lateral movement.
Yeah, it's tennis for lazy people like
Yeah.
me, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, and it sounds like the last 10 seconds of popcorn popping.
Yeah.
And
Although, like, I feel like when I think about it, like, you know, the scene in Forrest Gump where he's doing like the
ping pong.
ping pong.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. That's what I look like whenever I
It's
play.
like ginormous table tennis is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't yet understand I'm sure eventually I will. I'm sure
But they're
eventually.
popping up everywhere.
I know. So where are they going? Where are they going to
They'll be in Port Allen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a location nailed down or
We do, but I cannot disclose yet.
every
But,
time you're on here there's
I
something you can't
know,
disclose?
this is a teaser. You know how this is in media. Like
Mhm.
I gotta give you like breadcrumbs so that you guys
I
keep coming
understand.
back.
Yeah, we got Anna Johnson from the West Baton Rouge Chamber. Let's talk school. Let's talk STEM. What's the latest?
Yeah. So you know, we had the ribbon cutting for the Career Academy in Port Allen, and every year West Baton Rouge schools do like a STEM challenge, and it's West Baton Rouge versus Iberville. Last year, because of the they were building the Career Academy, they postponed it last year, but they brought it back this year, and so that actually kicks off, I think, Thursday of this week. So it'll be Thursday of this week, and then a couple of days next week. So there's 2 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and then 1 high school challenge. But it's Iberville and West Baton Rouge, and it's gonna be at the Career Academy. So these kids compete on different teams and different categories like robotics, IT, oh gosh, cooking. I mean, you name it, drones, like so many different things. So it's really fun.
How
And
did
they're
cooking
actually
slip in there?
look, this is, you know, when we were building the Career Academy, I say we, like I did it, but I was on the advisory board. We wanted to give it a name that didn't put us in a box.
Yeah.
So it is a STEM academy, but there are other things like culinary. I mean, like we wanted to keep it kind of broad because we don't want to put these kids in a box, and we want to be able to take on.
I understand, but even in that world, like one kid makes a robot and the other kid makes a muffin.
Look, I still cannot even make rice, and I'm from Louisiana. I have to put it in the Instant Pot. Like I don't know what it is. The water to rice ratio is not me. I can't do it. So I get it.
So you would not be in the cooking challenge.
Absolutely
You would more be in the
not.
robotics or the drones.
But I can make a really mean grilled cheese if y'all want. So
I
that's
can't
about it.
I can't imagine I can't imagine that as a category. The Go Jobs Fair. When's that coming up?
Yeah, so that's going to be March 20th. And that's also another shared project between Iberville and West Baton Rouge, and it's huge. So they have employers, not just from West Baton Rouge and Iberville, but they pull from the different parishes in the capital region. But you're going to have all your big players there. So all your plants and construction companies, your contractors, and then your medium and small size businesses too. So they actually Go Jobs partners with Louisiana Workforce Commission and a couple of other state agencies. They bus kids in from high school all day long. So it's open to the public.
Wow.
You bring your resume and come talk to these people. They'll have a full list posted, I think, in a couple of weeks of all the employers. But yeah, I mean, it's huge. They have over 2,000 people that walk through the door that day.
What are these kids exposed? Like, what types of jobs are we talking about here?
Oh gosh, you have everything from teaching to governmental jobs to small business. We have the colleges that are there just doing the technical colleges are there doing recruiting. Community Coffee was there last year. So, I mean, there's so many different jobs within that company that you could do. So it just depends. I mean, what are you interested in? There's going to be something there for you.
Very cool. So where can folks go to learn more about that one?
It is gojobs.com, I believe.
Are we GEAUXing this one?
GEAUX. Go Jobs. Job fair. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's going to be at the Carl Grant Civic Center this year. We usually do West Baton Rouge and Iberville. We usually change it up every year. So
GoJobs.org.
GoJobs.org. Like
GoJobs.org. Yep. I'm there now.
But yeah,
the upcoming events. You got it right there. Easy peasy to find. Hey, we got about a minute and a half left.
Okay.
What's the latest on the hospital?
We are in talks to get a possible hospital
Don't whisper it. Say it.
in West Baton Rouge. This is something that we have been talking about for a couple of years, but we're starting to finally put the wheels in motion when we redid the Paris strategic plan, and we solicited feedback from the public on what they wanted. The two things that they kept asking for were they wanted a hospital and they wanted some sort of entertainment venue.
Mhm.
And so, and we started hearing a lot more from our industry partners, especially about, how important it was to have an emergency room that was close. And so, we started having initial conversations with some of the big players, in the capital region. And one of those has kind of blossomed into, a very, warm lead. I'll say that.
All right, and I know
So
you can't disclose which of those partners yet.
I cannot.
Yeah, but this is one that from the first moment you mentioned it, it was like this needs to be shouted from the rooftops. The growth in West Baton Rouge absolutely demands a hospital.
Yes.
And I know it's just a
Yes.
quick trip back across the bridge to get over here, but at
Yeah.
the same time, though, I mean, it's just the growth is there. The
Well,
demand is
and
there.
there's, when you're working on a project like this, there are a lot of different moving parts. And so, if something dire were to happen to somebody in West Baton Rouge, I mean, between 12 and 5 o'clock, they're going to have to be airlifted across the river.
Right.
And so you have those nuances that you're working with. And every single traffic study that we did, we're like, okay. But not only that, if it's in West Baton Rouge, you're pulling from Point Capee, you're pulling from Iberville, you have West Baton Rouge, you have the Feliciana. So it's kind of, Maringouin. I mean, all these different areas. It's kind of that central spot. So it's actually perfect. So we're super excited. They're super excited. They've had their foot on the gas, and we have a follow up with them in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. All right. We'll talk with you shortly after that.
Yeah.
She is Anna Johnson with the West Baton Rouge Chamber. Thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Of course.
We ran way long there, missed our ABC news. So let's catch local news, traffic, and weather. Talk with Baton Rouge Police Chief TJ Morse next. Kill the mics real quick. Supposed to get up to about 80 today. How's that looking? Here's your full forecast from Emma Kate Cowan. And what else do you want to cover this morning?
We started our Citizens Academy last week. Tonight will be the second night of that. We have Equalizer Women's Self-Defense starting next week. A lot of things going on, community to be involved with. We're doing a press conference in the mayor's office this morning, like 10:30.
Yeah.
Just talk about new initiatives with partnerships with Crime Stoppers, and
you can't talk about the library shit.
Talk about how it's going to be good for us to be able to hire more officers.
Well, I got the mayor coming on at 8:05, so I'll let him do that one. 7:37. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We are guest heavy today, which is awesome. Joining us now is our chief of police, TJ Morris. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well this morning. Thank you. Enjoy coming here every month.
No, glad to have you on. Well, it's not like y'all don't have a ton to talk about every month. You got a lot going on community wise.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot going on news wise. There's some potential news on the forefront as well. But I want to start off with a personal story, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right, we didn't talk about this in the break. So, January 29th, I had to call 911.
Oh.
2 shots fired right outside my house, 2 doors down from my house. When I tell you the response time and the thoroughness of the investigation of your officers was nothing short of phenomenal. It was nothing short of phenomenal.
Great.
Unbelievable.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. There's a whole side story to how things transpired, the way they transpired. And I heard the 2 pops and the squealing of the tire. So they were gone well before anybody could get there. But I mean, it was remarkably faster than I thought it was going to be to have guys on the scene and up and down the street with the flashlights, and while being completely thorough, not bothering anybody who's hurt. This happened at like 11 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
So unbelievably thorough, and yet at the same time, not causing a ruckus to wake the entire neighborhood up. So kudos to your guys.
Awesome. Very good to hear.
Story in the Advocate a couple days ago. We're getting rid of ShotSpotter cameras.
Yeah. So the ShotSpotter, it's not cameras. It's a gunshot detection software. And there's a lot of those programs out nationwide. ShotSpotter system is just the one that we use here. Contract that for 2025 is going to be going up to about $400,000 for the year. For us to have that technology, with looking at having to shave $9 million off my budget. That's just one way to get closer to that number, was getting rid of that contract. What we find is, like yourself, what you're talking about, you heard some gunshots outside, so you call 911. Police were able to come. So a lot of time most of the time there's duplication in those calls. We get the 911 call and also the ShotSpotter kind of location of where those shots happen.
What went into the decision other than just the dollars? I mean, is there, I hate to use this term again, is there an ROI on what they deliver for y'all?
So, with the, return on investment, it kind of was looking at the duplication of services for one, or the duplication of calls. That when we really dug into it, and I had my people trying to look at statistics, is like, hey, has there ever been, we've had ShotSpotter since 2007. Can anybody find me in recent time or ever where ShotSpotter led us directly to saving somebody's life? Because we didn't get any other calls. The only ShotSpotter led us there, found this gunshot victim. We couldn't find that as happening. It has led to, us being able to get more evidence, exact locations or some shell casings. So it's been a good tool, but, with other things going on out there with our crime cameras and our license plate readers, and now the crime cameras and license plate readers, we can add gun detection software to some of those things. There's a lot more of those out in the city. When you're looking at the city, Baton Rouge, 86, 87 square miles ish. ShotSpotter only covers about 6 square miles in the entire city. We've the same spots since about 2007. Very cost prohibitive to move those sensors to different areas. So as crime might move, we can't move the sensors in those detection areas to different areas either.
So as crime has, I don't want to use the term evolved, but it changed. As crime has changed over the years, the ShotSpotters are kind of built in. I mean, they can't adapt with.
Correct.
The Advocate article, just reading from it, it says in December, for example, 42% of the 470 gunshots reported in Baton Rouge were detected by ShotSpotter, a portion on par with most months since the city police started using them in '07. 42%. I don't want to like be negative, but that feels like it's a low number for like the overall crime. If you're looking to hunt down where they're coming from, you would want you would want to get above 50, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. It's only, 6 square miles out of the 80 something miles that the city covers. So it's only limited areas. And of that 42%, probably 41%, we also had 911 calls, people calling in saying that, hey, there was gunshots around the corner from my house.
We're talking with Baton Rouge Police Chief TJ Morse. All right, so that makes up 400K. Do we know where the rest is coming from yet?
Yeah, so it's tough. We're having to have some tough conversations on the department with the new mayor's administration. Looking 90-some% of my budget is pay and payroll and officers overtime and things like that. So just looking at it on the base, an officer in 2024 is going to make less money than an officer in 2025, because we're going to be paying less overtime and having to cut and maybe cut back on some of the things we do and look at other cooperative endeavors, including people. Just for example, we're going to be spending close to about $200,000 in overtime just in the month of February for Mardi Gras parades.
Yeah.
We don't get paid that money back from the parade groups or anything like that. We provide those officers. And so when we're looking at ways that we can save money to get to that $9 million, we're going to have some conversations about how we can cooperate with some people and get some of that money back.
You're right. There are going to be tough conversations.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't peel back from a public event. That's not in the cards for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same
a lot
time,
of it has to do with manpower. We're short staffed, 546 officers right now. So we're, to cover the streets and have adequate services, we're having to pay people overtime to come out and work. Just all the things contribute to that.
How long is it going to take to get this hammered out? I mean, I feel like if you're having one discussion, you're having 20. So there's going to be a lot of coordination that goes into an overall solution, and a lot of, like you said, tough conversations, but a lot of productive conversations as well. Some of them we actually need.
Yes, for sure. And, now we got 10 and a half months left in the budget cycle to try to save this money. And a lot of things we've already put in place to save, but we're still trying to get closer and closer to that $9 million that we were told that we need to. The new administration saying they might be able to cut some of back that for us, find some extra money where we don't have to get all the way up to that $9 million. But we're looking at everything. We're looking at how we get our cars fixed and preventive maintenance and oil changes and where in the budget can we save money.
So part of that conversation and is about a conversation I'm going to have less than half an hour from right now. We're going to have the mayor on to talk about undedicating of funds from the library. That'll be a piece of it, but it won't be all of it. There will hopefully be bigger conversations about undedicating across the board to where the hard part is. And I don't want to walk too far down this path, but the hard part there is the dedications. They were voted for by the people.
Mm-hmm.
And we've really painted ourselves in a corner to vote for things that we want while not being able to fund the things we need. So these are conversations that are worthwhile is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I'm excited about the mayor prioritizing public safety and giving us this opportunity. We have to still go in front of the council, and hopefully the council agrees to let the people decide, hey, we wanted this money to go towards the library, but now we think maybe it's more important that we go towards the police officers. One, to give our officers a raise that they need. Our Baton Rouge Police Department is well under salaries, all the other agencies in the area. And then also it'll give us a chance to hire better and more qualified people and get that number up where we can start how you see more boots on the ground. We're not having to spend so much overtime. So it'll really help in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And all that contributes to a greater quality of life as well.
For sure.
We're talking with Baton Rouge Police Chief TJ Morse. And in the meanwhile, y'all got a lot going on within the department as well. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about budgetary issues. New Citizens Academy kicked off.
Yeah. So we started our New Citizens Academy last Tuesday. We got second class tonight. It's not too late to get involved with that. We had a good group, about 21, 22 people last week. We think we're going to have a few more that filled out some applications that weren't able to make last week. So it's a really good chance for people to get involved, kind of see what it goes into being trained as a police officer and making those split-second decisions that our officers have to make every day. And we also have our women's self-defense equalizer class starting next week. You can sign up for that. They got QR code and all that kind of website on our Facebook page, but it's completely free. Women only, 13 and up, 4 classes. Come learn some self-defense, say how to act if, somebody grabs you and you can get out of those situations.
I will go back to the Equalizer in just a minute, but I want you to expound a little bit more on the Citizens Academy because I think it's a phenomenal program.
Yes.
I've not yet been able to attend, but my cohort down the hall has.
Yeah, Condon was there.
He very eye-opening for him. So go a little bit deeper into detail about what you learn along the way.
Yeah, so it's 8 classes, everything from just what do our officers get trained on. So they kind of break down here are the hours, and these are the things that our officers get trained on, and then kind of going into classes on, hey, this is what probable cause is. This is what reasonable suspicion is. We have homicide detectives come in and talk about what it is to investigate a homicide scene with our crime scene techs. We'll show real-time crime center, show our dispatch center up there at MOSEP, go out to the range and show the firearms range, have K9 and drones and all the technology kind of shown, what is it that your Baton Rouge Police Department is capable of doing, and kind of get a feel for what our officers have to do as well. And then it all kind of wraps up at the end with a scenario day where then we put blank guns and whole tool belt on them, and they have to go through some scenarios and sometimes just talk people off the ledge, and maybe sometimes have to draw their gun.
Unreal. I mean, it's unreal that it's that real. It's very, very in depth, and you walk away with a completely different perspective. Or so Condon tells me.
Yeah, my favorite night is when we actually show them our tasers, and they have people who can volunteer to get tased. We actually have a lot of people that step up and want to do that. Completely volunteer.
I so want to.
You get a free T-shirt.
You do?
Yeah. So sweeten the pot a little bit.
No, I was just trying to imagine what's written on the T-shirt. I just wet my pants. What does the T-shirt say?
It's just BRPD Training Academy
okay,
T-shirt.
All right, fine. Equalizer. This one has been a big deal for some time now, and it's not waning in popularity at all.
Yes.
This is look, if your wife, your daughter, your mother, whomever, this is unbelievably important.
Yeah, and we have, like I said, all age range. We have the young teenagers, we have college girls, all the way up to senior citizens that will come and participate. It's at your own speed, your own level. Everything from teaching you what to look out for and just safety and how to carry yourself to what if somebody grabs you by the hair, what if somebody pins you down, all the things to be able to make yourself safer. Talk about pepper spray. We talk about carrying firearms and tasers. All of that is covered, as well as 3 nights on the mats, just drilling and practicing those self-defense moves.
3 nights on the mats.
Yes, sir.
If I got a senior in high school that I'm about to send off to college, I probably need to send her there.
Perfect thing. Her and some of her friends come. They have a good time, practice on each other, and learn together.
All right, yeah, we're gonna have to talk after the segment. That's gonna have to happen. We got about a minute and a half left. Let's take this last minute and a half to talk about how the year started off. I mean, we're a full month in. What are we looking at numbers wise?
Yeah, so we're last year, we on par, 200-something thousand calls our officers handled. People don't realize that we're that busy, right? 200,000 calls for service. This year, we've seen a reduction in our violent crimes, even more than last year. Last year, we wound up with about an 8.5% reduction in violent crimes. It's weird because everywhere I went, everybody's talking about, oh, crime's up. But we actually were 8.5% down in violent crimes and right about 8% down in property crime in 2024 than we were in 2023. Here we are just about, 5 or 6 weeks into 2025. So, not going to jinx anything, but we're still seeing that downward trend.
How'd the blizzard play for that?
Yeah. So blizzard, a week of everybody being snowed in. Of course, we saw less calls. I really got to thank, and, all the meetings I've been having, I really got to thank the public for listening and staying off the roads. We didn't see a really big increase in traffic accidents, but our officers stepped up. They were having to work hours that they don't normally work and days that they don't normally work, blocking 90-something intersections with barricades that we had to do, as long with going and transporting some of the more needy, the homeless people to shelters. So we're doing a wide range of services during the snow. When we're talking about budget, that's another budgetary thing that, is not accounted for.
Right.
And then it also happened to fall on a holiday, Martin Luther King. So I'm paying officers holiday overtime to come out and work during the snow. That's not necessarily budgeted for.
He is Baton Rouge Police Chief TJ Morris. We always appreciate the time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Here's your money now. Kill the mics. 7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Been a busy hour, and we got no signs of slowing down. Next hour, we got Mayor President Sid Edwards joining us at 8:05. We got Andrew Ward talking about our veterans at 8:15. We got State Senator Blake Miguez at 8:35. With that all coming next hour, we got to move this day in history up to right now. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-bow. All right, Cade, what you got?
All right, Brian, we'll start off back in the year 1858. That's when St. Bernadette claims to see the Virgin Mary.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Good for her. Where at?
I didn't get that far into the story.
No worries at all. It's a short segment. Keep going.
1960, the payola scandal reaches a new level of public prominence and legal gravity.
Yep.
Nobody does that anymore.
No. By the way, what you doing for lunch today? P.F. Chang's?
Yeah. 1963, Julia Childs, the French chef, debuts shortly after Bobby Flay beat her in a contest.
Yeah.
No. But I think that's the start of the food television stuff, right? Food on TV.
Yeah. Julia Child beget Justin Wilson, beget Emerald Lagasse. That's the trio. Yeah.
Or something like that.
He's about as Cajun as I am. No. Stop it.
Yeah. 1963. So we got Julia Childs. 1990. This is probably the headliner, though. Nelson Mandela released from prison this day in 1990.
Yes. He was released from prison, which reminded everybody that he was not dead, which gives us the Mandela effect.
Mm-hmm. 2020. Maybe this is the headliner.
Okay.
World Health Organization officially names novel coronavirus disease COVID-19.
Yeah, I think that might be the headliner right there. COVID-19, bigger than Julia Child.
I sorry about that.
Again.
I hear coronavirus in Cardi B's voice a lot of times.
Coronavirus.
So that's where that came from.
Man, I don't know what's going around right now, but I think we're going to have COVID 2025 on our hands. Everybody's either got the flu or bronchitis or whatever the hell we got from Washington Mardi Gras.
Births. Jennifer Aniston, born today.
Okay.
Thomas Edison, born today.
Equally great contributions to society.
Couple of political births. Jeb Bush, Sarah Palin.
Okay. I don't know where to go with that.
No. And how about a cool dude? Kelly Slater. Professional surfer, Kelly Slater.
I would not know who that was. I appreciate you informing me.
Fair enough.
Professional surfer, Kelly Slater.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
As far as deaths, this one, there were others.
Whoa. We got more, man.
Okay.
We got at least two. No, well, that one was one that died today. One more. Oh, former New Orleans Saint Jabari Greer.
Hey.
Yeah. How about it?
Or as Mike Detui once said, Jabarji
Greer.
Yeah.
Oh, also Manuel Noriega, born on this day in possibly 1934.
Maybe.
The Encyclopedia Britannica says 1934 ?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And this was the only death I had, but it was significant. Whitney Houston, 2012, which to this day, as a kid, the best national anthem I ever saw at a Super Bowl. Right?
Whitney Houston died?
2012.
Oh my God! What did Michael Jackson have to say?
National days to move things along. National Guitar Day, Inventors Day, I guess because of Thomas Edison, Peppermint Patty Day, Shut-In Visitation Day, White T-Shirt Day, hey, and Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk Day.
Also died on this day.
Yeah.
Died on this day in 1650, Rene Descartes.
Oh, I was going to touch this.
Yep. I was going to tell you earlier, but no, that's a bad joke, and I'll leave it right there. We are out of time for this hour. It is straight up 8 o'clock, so let's check news, traffic, weather. Mayor President Sid Edwards joins us next. He should be on the phone. Yep. Yes, he does. Yeah, and that's how the interview will go. I will introduce him as Mayor President Sid Edwards, but I will call him Coach the entire time. It's impossible not to. It's yeah. Well, he is. Yes, that is correct. That's what was on the ballot was Emil. Saint Bernadette saw Mary at Lourdes in France. Lourdes with a U. There he is. Good morning. You're early. You're good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I got one segment before yours. Next Tuesday. So I hit up Ches from Metal Fab Guys. I was like, tell me about how these tariffs are going to affect you. He's like, it's catapulting my business. He's going to print money. Ciccone. I was like, when can you come on? He's like, I'm flying to Orlando for the next 2 days. Delaney. Daughter of the late Jimmy Buffett and star and director of the new film Adult Best Friends, available on demand February 28th. Adult Best Friends. Jimmy Buffett's daughter, apparently. Did you get pictures of all the guests that were in this last hour? All right. Okay. I can screen grab them off the Facebook once it's over. Yeah. I need to have Charlotte on more often. She's impressive and she sells that place well. Yeah. #806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now, and a busy hour it is. We're going to talk about our veterans, and we're going to talk about a program called The Boot in our next segment. Andrew Ward's going to join us. We're going to talk with State Senator Blake Miguez later on this hour, but right now I want to waste no time in getting to our Mayor President, Sid Edwards, who's on the hotline right now. Coach, how are you? Do we have him? Tell you what, let's drop him right back on hold real quick, see if he's still there. While we have a quick second, I was joking around about P.F. Chang's in the last segment. It is a good time to ask, do you have your lunch plan set yet? If not, might I suggest P.F. Chang's? They've always got so much going on as far as like not just the set menu, but with the specials and the happy hour and everything that they've got over at the bar and the patio area. They're a great spot to stop off on your way home from work. I mean, you already know they're a fantastic lunch destination. You know my take. I go Mongolian beef every time. My wife loves the lettuce chicken wraps. You're not going to go wrong with the Asian-inspired dishes, with the Asian-inspired flares. When you add to it the ambiance and the level of service you get, it's a perfect lunch every time out at P.F. Chang's. They're in Town Center off Corporate Boulevard. Look for the giant golden horse. All right, we got him now. Coach Sid Edwards, or Mayor President Sid Edwards. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing very well this morning. So I appreciate you coming on. The quick turnaround to talk about this library millage topic. Give us the details of what your intentions are.
Good. I appreciate the opportunity. You know, we rolled that out last week as a potential initiative, and it immediately became police versus library, police pay versus library money. And to clear it up, we went in and we said, we promised we were going to go zero-based budget. We're going to scrub the budget. We were going to dig. We were going to look. We were going to see everything that went on, that's going on, and what we can do to best be stewards of our money for the entire parish. Well, when it comes down to it, these monies, and there's some question on, does the library have a reserve? I'm looking beyond the reserve. My whole deal is, it's much more than police pay is what we're looking at doing. Mm-hmm. Baton Rouge has issues. I mean, it's why I ran in the first place. Our streets are not good. We have drainage issues. We've got infrastructure issues. We've got some small business economic development. So rededicating this tax, it's not a new tax. As a matter of fact, it's going to be a tax cut, the first one in 25 years. Well, the biggest one, should I say, in 25 years in the parish to our citizens. And what we're looking at doing with this money is we're not looking to destroy library. I love the library. My whole family, I got 2 autistic boys that go to the library. So I think we're getting this narrative early in that we're going to raid the library's money and just give it to law enforcement officers. No, that's a piece of it and a very needed piece of what we're doing. But this is to tend to thousands of things that need to be fixed or repaired or done in our city. There's a narrative too. Yeah, I mean, believe me, I'm getting the phone calls. The librarians are mad at me. And what you get is on this thing is that, the mayor president is taking their money. Well, number one, it's not their money. It's the citizens of East Baton Rouge Parish's money. So all we're asking, I'm not going to transfer accounts tomorrow, right? My ask to our council is to put it in the hands of the citizens of East Baton Rouge Parish and let them decide, do they want to keep funding the library at this rate, or do we want to share some of the wealth to help other areas of our city that are in great need?
We voted on these millages when we needed to build new libraries, before there was that beautiful Goodwood Library, before there were so many great branches that have been rebuilt within the East Baton Rouge library system. we voted on this millage for construction, and now it's sitting at the same place for maintenance. But we are kind of painted in that corner, Coach, where we voted to send this money this way. So it would have to come back to us to undo this, right?
That is absolutely correct. That was, shoot, I near, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, that vote took. So all this is going back to the people to rededicate it. And my commitment is if the voters decide, the people will speak, if we get it to them, and they decide, you know what, we need help over here, we will still fund the library at a rate higher than any other library system in the state of Louisiana. We're almost 220% above the national average, minus DC. And so we're not, we have, I think, 14, 15 branches. We would fund the library to where they would not feel, no branches would close, no branches would be left without. If a branch needs remodeling or a branch needs a new roof, any of those things are still going to happen. So after 30 years of these funds going directly just to the library, we're just asking, let's rededicate them and spread this money out a little more.
We're talking with Mayor President of East Baton Rouge. That would be Coach Sid Edwards. So you talk about using the library and loving the library. I was actually at the Goodwood Library last night, where they have a one sheet with the frequently asked questions there. In it, it says the mayor's office proposed a resolution this week that would move all of the library's funds into the city parish general fund and redistribute the dedicated library tax approved by the voters. Would this move all of the funds over?
Yes, it would. It would go into the general fund, but it would, where it's not any different than in any other particular entities, it would go into the general fund. Like, okay, I go back to my coaching days, right? So football, okay, is a moneymaker in high school football, much more than, say, softball or soccer. Well, generally those monies go into a general fund, and then that athletic director decides where those monies go. So in my seat, I would estimate the library still would get, and it's an estimation, Brian, anywhere from $25 to $40 million a year still. In other words, it's like, hey, we're not going to drain the swamp of the library and they never see money again. They're going to be funded at a rate higher than anyone else in the state of Louisiana. They're still going to get the lion's share.
Is the library the only millage that's going to take a hit here? Because we very recently went to the polls to vote for some Breck millages, or re-upping Breck millages, I should say. There are, on our property taxes, seemingly countless millages that were nickel and dime as taxpayers. And eventually you start talking real money. Is this the first in a number of actions by your administration to take that fair look and reassess priorities across the board?
We are going to be reassessing priorities across the board for sure. But I can't say, on this morning that, hey, next. I won't say that. Because we got other things to do as well. I mean, we're too early in to get a clear picture of everything, where the money's at, where the money's going. Perhaps, something could be, people hate the word cut. Maybe some could be cut here. Maybe we're overstaffed here. And all we want to do is be good stewards of our citizens' money, their hard-earned money. And so, yes, on that end, we're looking hard at everything. We're looking hard at everything that we think, balance isn't a good word neither. We're looking hard at everything that can enhance and help our city. And I'll tell you this, Brian, I have to toot the library's horn to say that they are one of the crown jewels of East Baton Rouge Parish. They're outstanding. Well, if you remember, I know you like football, Brian. If you remember the Detroit Lions back in the day, not today's Detroit Lions, but back in the day, they were terrible. They were the laughing stock of the NFL. They just weren't good. But they had a player. I'm see if you can name the player. This player is one of the best to ever played the game.
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders. They had this all-star That's our library. Our library is Barry Sanders, but a lot of Baton Rouge is the old Detroit. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, I love books and I love people, but I love people more than I love books. I'm just going to be straight. And with that, I can continue to love books. I can continue to, as a citizen, to enjoy all the things the library offers while funding them to the highest level of anyone, any system in the state, and take care of people. There are people dying on the streets. There are homeless people. We need a mental health facility. A lot of our citizens are mentally sick. All these things need to be tended to. Now, don't get me wrong. If we had a bajillion-dollar budget, then everything would look like our library system looks, right?
Yeah.
I would be, but I have to, as the mayor president, I have to, and eventually, this is going to come down to our council, and that's going to be, I respect them. They got to decide if this is going to go to the ballot or not. But my plea to those folks who want the best Baton Rouge as well, my plea to them is let our people decide. They decided 40 years ago. Well, this is a different Baton Rouge than 40, 30, 20, even 10 years ago. Let's bring it back and it's the people's money. It's not my money, the councilman's money, or the library's money. Let's just put it in front. We'll, by the time, if it goes to the ballot, it'll be spelled out what we're doing and everything that'll be affected. And then the people can decide. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, it was just last month that, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I got the story right here. It was just last month. A man was shot at the Delmont Gardens branch of the library. So yeah, it's in the parking lot outside, I should say. But it's one thing to have a great library system. It's another thing if you're going to get shot in the parking lot of said library. I hate to put it in that fear mongering of terms, but that's kind of where we are.
It's exactly where we are. It's exact. And you see, like I said, when it first got pushed out last week, the early indication is that, we're just going to take the money and pay just police. No, we have social programs. We have a lot goes into the crime piece. Anyway, there's a lot. I know if this goes through, and I know if you're 100% just library, no, we're not going to do this, or I'm not voting for this. You've got to be able to look at a broader vision of our parish and what we're doing. And the hardest thing, and like I said, I'm not going to fight the library. I'm not into fighting someone I love.
Right.
I'm not, but it's going to be factual, and it's going to be, here's your choice. There's what's behind door number one, and that is 60 million or so annually the library's operating on, or you can still have world-class libraries, but we're going to go fix this.
Right.
And we're going to do this and this and this.
If I could squeeze one more minute out of you before we get you out of here, and I know I've already gone over the time that I was going to go, but how'd the grand opening go yesterday for the North Baton Rouge satellite office?
It was exciting. It was really great, man. There's some excited people on that side of town that will have access to our office, and it's gonna be really good. And we scouted locations and found the perfect location, and so people are excited.
Yep, it's over there right by MOSEP, North Baton Rouge satellite office for the mayor. Mayor President Sid Edwards, we always appreciate the time, sir. Well, look, this is the opening of a huge discussion that's going to evolve over the course of the year. So we look forward to having you on frequently about it.
Always. Appreciate y'all.
Talk to you soon, Coach. Thank you so much. 820 at Talk 107.3 FM. We are running long. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, talking about the boot next. Oh, sorry about that. I ran a little bit. I ran about 4 minutes over. So, come on in. Right here. And we're always on Facebook Live. Oh, nice. So, and I have to eat up 60 more seconds of your time before, because I'm long on my. This all started back at 7 o'clock when I double booked a 7:15 guest and had to boot out another segment in order to get it back on time.
Well, I didn't realize that we're good. Our office is actually on Louisiana Avenue, about 6 or 7 blocks away from here.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on where those law offices are, the little one ways all in there behind
Yeah.
the old governor's mansion.
Yeah,
That's
in
where we are.
Beauregard Town.
Yep, that's where we are. Yeah, I sent you that report for if you needed some numbers. We just released this yesterday, sent it out to the governor's office and everybody. It's amazing. This is the first 6 months of operation. Any questions on it?
Yeah, why is Southwest Louisiana getting so much love?
Because Lake Charles is crushing it because their mayor wants it, and their Dr. Roos over at McNeese wants it, and proximity to Fort Johnson Army. The Army base is right north of it, but Lake Charles is showing up. So
good.
That's why we put that regional up there to show all the regions to be like, see what they're doing down there in the southwest part of the state.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I would imagine. Have you talked to Anna Johnson from the West Baton Rouge Chamber yet?
We have some connections to
Okay.
BRAC. Yeah.
Not BRAC, West Baton Rouge.
Oh, no. Then no. I didn't realize it wasn't the same thing.
I need to put you two together. I had her on earlier in the show, but when it comes to the plants up and down the
100%.
that side of the river,
I want to be
West Baton Rouge,
connected. I was
Riverfield.
talking to Lon Vigner, who's the chief of staff for the mayor that you were just talking to. So I need to get in and talk with him. We got connections with all the different mayors, but I just don't know him. I know he just got elected. And Coach is doing some things.
Yeah, he's kicking over some anthills to be sure.
Good.
So, yeah, we need it.
So one of the things just to remember is that we're not a veterans group. I know it's easy to kind of put us in that category, but we're a transitioning service member. We are military people, and we take care of them coming out of their military careers. If you're a veteran, you've been around, that's a misconception. If you're a veteran like he or I, we're not.
But am I
We're not an
misdescribing when I say taking care of veterans, though? Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right.
But it's just we're taking care of military members as they're coming out of service.
823 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Need just a second of your time before we hop into our next topic and welcome our next guest in. And I need that second to tell you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. If you are in the surrounding areas of Baton Rouge, we're talking Clinton, we're talking Denham, we're talking Greensburg, we're talking Zachary, we're talking Brewley. If you're in any of those areas, you need to hit up landmarkbankla.com, because what you're going to find with Landmark Bank is they're in those areas for a specific reason. They've been around for over 100 years, and they believe in that relationship business. They believe that when you have a banker, you should have a banker. You shouldn't just have a banking app. You shouldn't just have banking tech. You should have a banker. Now, you're not going to sacrifice on those other two, but what you are going to have is a person you can walk in and talk to when you walk into the Clinton office on St. Helena Street, when you walk into the Greensburg office on Kendrick Street, when you walk into Brewley on Highway 1 South. LandmarkBankLA.com is the place to start to learn about the locations and the services they provide. They've been doing it this way for over 100 years. Make sure you have a banker when you have a bank with LandmarkBankLA.com. All right. Have you heard about the boot yet? If not, well, here to tell us about it is Andrew Ward. Andrew, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good this morning. Thanks for having me in.
Not glad to have you on. Sorry to be pushing like so far back and whatnot, but I want to make sure the whole story is told. So
Perfectly fine.
Start with the beginning. What's the boot?
So the boot was created with the governor's office, with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We are an organization that works with service members from around the country and around the state. And when they're coming out of their military service career and they're looking for their next stage in life, we say Louisiana is the best place to be.
Okay, when you say around the country and around the state, this is obviously taking care of service members transitioning out of military service in Louisiana, but this is also a recruitment tool.
It all is recruiting. So
Okay.
we kind of use the analogy of almost like a college football team, right? LSU goes around the country, they lock down the borders of the state, and what they want to do and what we want to do is whenever you have Army members coming out of Fort Johnson, you have airmen coming out of Fort Barksdale, so Barksdale Air Force Base. What you want to do is you want to say, okay, you don't have to go back home to Illinois and go work at your uncle's gas station.
Right.
We have opportunities right here in your backyard that you don't even know about. So what we do is we physically bring them into Baton Rouge. We bring them into Lafayette. We bring them into Lake Charles. And we share everything that they would maybe want and take the guesswork out of it. So like when you're transitioning from that military, you've been in it your whole life, you know, it's 3 hots and a cot, right?
Mhm.
So when you get out, a lot of that is the unknown and a lot of that is fear. And we kept hearing it over and over again. So when I was on Governor Landry's transition team for military affairs, he kept saying, come home, Louisiana. How do we stop our talent from leaving?
Yeah.
And I said, I think I have an idea with the military population because I am, you know, Army and knew how that transition could work. And so what we want to do is we want to take these people and not just share like what the best careers are, where the best communities are, but we want to also, like, if they want to go to college, we're going to show them LSU, show them Southern University, show them Baton Rouge Community College, right?
Yeah.
But we also want to like introduce them to their real estate agent, their banker, their insurance agent, all those things that they might just be out in the wilderness and not know how to get those. We already have those resources and connections. And so we're just the white glove concierge service for them.
What put this together in terms of like learning what the pain points would be for the military members that are moving in?
Just a lot of feedback from them.
Yeah.
Going to these bases. So when you're about to get out of the military, you have to let them know that you're going to get out. You don't just say the day before, okay, I'm gone. So 6 months to a year out, what happens is they go through a transition assistance program class. And in that TAPS class, that's where our recruiters or our success managers, they go in there and they go meet them and they say, okay, what's your plans? What do you want to do? Are you open to being here in Louisiana? Because we have some really great opportunities coming for you.
Now, when it comes to, you started on Governor Landry's transition team.
It did.
The reception from the governor and since the legislature has been phenomenal.
It's been sensational. Their whole team has been supportive. So what happens is the Department of Veterans Affairs and Secretary Charlton McGinley, he was a partner with me on this. So we are an independent 501 nonprofit organization.
Okay.
And the reason we did that, and we do have baseline funding from the state, but we've already bypassed that. So we did an economic impact study on how many transitioning service members we would need per year to be able to meet that investment that Louisiana gave us. And we hit that in the first 3 months. We've already doubled it. So we know that this is a positive ROI, because if you're a service member and you serve 20 years, right?
Okay.
Serve 20 years, you got a federal pension. Yep.
Yep.
That's federal dollars attached to you.
Mhm.
If you are coming in and you want to go to school and you're going to use the GI Bill, that's more federal dollars coming in.
Right.
Third, what if you have a disability benefit? What if you have something 50%, 60%, 100% disability rating? Federal dollars that come with you. So I'm not just taking an individual and putting him into a city and making a career, starting a business, being a positive member of that community, but I'm also injecting outside federal dollars that never existed before.
What potential impacts will this have? Like, let's say Baton Rouge, because I know you're all over the state, but like, let's say for Baton Rouge, what potential impacts would this have for curbing out migration? Like, what kind of numbers would we be talking about here?
When you say curbing out migration,
So we have an overall problem of people leaving
Of
and
course,
not
of
moving
course.
in. We want to bring people back home to Louisiana, bring people back home to Baton Rouge. What kind of numbers would this be as far as like the potential for those who can be, you'll find employment for and housing for and everything else?
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit. I mean, you know, there's a state that's doing this but they're not doing it exactly the same way, and that's Indiana. And so Indiana does a really good job of selling their different industries. So big auto manufacturing industry in Indiana. Okay. And so I was watching what they were doing, but they're not physically taking these people in, but they're selling Indiana in a great way. And after their first 3 years, they had on a press release that they brought in 1,000 new members into the state of Indiana. So for me, I was like, man, that's a really smart idea. And we know Louisiana's fun, food, culture, everything that we love about this state.
Yes.
We can bring them in on. You know, you got to think these are 25-year-old Army guys that want to hunt and fish and sportsman's paradise and all those things. So what we do is we get them in here on that. And then while they're here, we're like, look, we have this emerging statewide push through our partners at LED, through our partners at Lobby, through our partners, you know, that are really making a concentrated effort with the governor's office to showcase Louisiana as not just business as usual anymore.
Is it still too, and we're going to run long, by the way, okay. Is it still too early to know like what kind of industries are going to be the most adaptable here? What kind of communities are going to be the most open?
It's still a little early for us. I know Lake Charles is doing a great job right now. I know right now they've kind of led the pack. The ones you would think, the Lafayette's, the North Shores, right? Those are the ones, but we're also working with the Alexandrias. We're working with the Monroes. We're working with the Shreveports. You know, those are the ones that are saying, well, what about us? And
Right.
so we're not going to forget any of those people. So we're all going to work with different places. And it's not a one size fits all by any means on industry, because you have so many methods of service, so many MOSs out there. So if a guy was a combat medic, if a guy was an infantry guy, if a guy was intelligence, or if a girl was, you know, didn't matter. What we want to do is just not make it a one size fits all. We want to be able to tailor it to what their needs are.
How long has the boot been up and running, and what kind of results have you shown thus far?
We kicked off in July, and we're about 7 months in now, and we're already at 41 placements. We have 17 more that are in what's called Skill Bridge or training programs.
Okay.
So they're not out yet, but they're training to be out in Louisiana training programs.
Mhm.
So overall, I mean, we've seen such great success, and the feedback we get from these soldiers and these airmen and these Marines is that this is such a necessary, needed thing for them. So it's for them. You know, the Louisiana is just going to benefit overall by having more of these productive citizens that have DOD training. You know what I mean? We spend billions of dollars on training all these military members during their term of service in all of these different jobs.
Mhm.
And then when they get out, they don't throw that away. It comes with them.
Right.
So why not take that and use that?
Within the 7 months, what are you finding? What are your biggest needs right now? Is just awareness, just everybody to know about it, or
I think it is. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. Our board is very, very strong. On our
Mhm.
board, we have Jim Patterson from Lobby.
Oh yeah,
We have 2 members of the LED team.
Yeah.
So for us, we have Chris Landry with the head of Louisiana Travel Association.
Oh, he's
So
great.
love those guys. And so we wanted to bring them in because they have reach across the state. So we don't have to individually do that. It's
Well, okay, well, let me rephrase. If I'm a business owner, hey, my radar should be up about this.
Yeah.
What's the buy-in here? What's the level? How do we get participation?
The easiest thing to do is the boot.la. So
Okay.
the boot.la, we have a separate page or a separate section called partners.
Mhm.
Go on there, fill out the little form, and then we'll reach out to you, and our leadership team will get with you. And you could be the biggest construction company in the state. You could be Oshner. You could be, right? You don't have to be, or you could be a small little operation that says, I just want to be involved.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. It's all levels.
We got Andrew Ward from the Boot in with us. What are the plans for this year? How do we grow this within this year?
You know, for us, I think we're just going to keep our heads down. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. Our success managers, our recruiters, they are absolutely crushing it. Very proud of my team. Our CEO, Ben Armstrong, he's doing a hell of a job too. So for us, no, I think we're just going to keep staying the course and keep adding more partnerships and just keep adding more programming, and sky's the limit. I mean,
I promise I'm gonna get you out of here in just a second. We're already running over, but the ride so far, I would imagine as a service member yourself, I would imagine the ride so far has been a game changer for you.
being from Louisiana,
Yeah.
being a part of Louisiana Army National Guard. Oh yeah. I mean, I couldn't be happier and prouder that this idea that Governor Landry saw from me and said, look, we're going to go ahead and support you and back you in this mission is coming to fruition. And we're seeing the success.
The latest report says 94 service members are working with the Boot to live in Louisiana. Those numbers only go up from here.
They're only in our pipe. So we're going to keep going more and more. We really concentrate in the beginning on the bases here in Louisiana. But now as we kind of have our feet under us and we have our processes in place, we're going to start attending all these bases and their functions from all over the country.
I said I was going to get you out of here. I got another one though. But no, it's such a good discussion to have because there's some potential here. How do you go back to the recruiting model from football?
Sure.
How do you go from putting the wall around Louisiana to growing it outside of the state? How do you get out and go recruit in Texas or Mississippi or wherever?
So all these bases, they have events. They have the Hire Heroes USA or Hiring Our Heroes. They have these events that are already scheduled. So we just go there and we fly that Louisiana flag and we send our team up there and we have those conversations with those service members that are there because they know they're getting out and they don't know what they're going to do next. And so we just do our best recruiting pitch.
It's amazing. It's just us in Indiana
right now. Yeah. So we're running hard and fast because I'm sure that other states are going to kind of see this model.
Once it's out there, it's not. Yeah. We got to strike.
So we want to be loud and proud, but maybe not too loud. We want to do our thing here.
For those that for those who want to learn more, where can they go?
It's easy. Theboot.la.
Theboot.la is the home base right there. Doing amazing work. Andrew Ward, thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you.
We are way long for news, traffic, weather. We missed ABC by a long shot. Let's get it started with our local news on Talk 107.3.
Thanks.
No, thank you.
That was good.
That was fantastic.
Anytime you ever want to do follow-ups, like I said, our corporate office is right here. We could get our CEO, Ben Armstrong, who's a firecracker in here.
Okay.
Anytime you ever want to do any kind of updates and see how we're doing, just call me and we'll pop in for a whatever.
We'll do.
Okay.
We'll do.
Thanks, man.
Look, if y'all need voices at the Capitol, whatever. I mean, we're pretty
good.
Loud voice.
Good. Yeah. I mean, there's some other things that we didn't touch on. We're working on legislation right now. So we call it red meat. So what I'm doing is I can come back and talk about legislative pushes that we're having in the spring session.
That's what I want. That's the follow-up.
I have 2 state reps that are working on different bills, but both of them are meant to be where my recruiter goes to a base and says, hey, you don't just come here for this, what I talked about, but we have new advantages and new bills that are veteran military focused that'll give them an opportunity that other states aren't doing.
Who's do you know who's drafting legislation yet?
Yeah, so Brock Myers is with one. Yep.
Okay.
Brock,
well, he's not even in a seat yet.
No, but he's a state rep.
Yeah.
So even if he doesn't win the Senate race, he'll fall back into that. So we're doing a wildlife and fisheries bill with there to give them a deep discount on hunting and fishing licenses. No other state, every other state does something, but we're going to do something unique. And then, Troy Hebert, who's also out of our Acadiana delegation. So we haven't drafted it yet, but we're working on a new lottery scratch-off ticket that's going to be just for veterans and create a veterans fund. And what it's going to do is going to be able to fund a lot of the different veteran organizations around the state and needs that they have. They're doing it in Texas, and they gave $44 million to veteran organizations last year in the state of Texas. It's crazy. Texas does education and veterans. And if we do only education, I want to go meet with Rose from Louisiana Lottery and say, let's just introduce your lowest.
Oh, shit. I saw her up in Washington Mardi Gras.
So if take your lowest performing scratch off ticket, the one that just nobody ever buys. Yeah. Great. We'll rebrand it with a red, white, and blue flag on it and say, if you buy this ticket, it all goes to veterans causes. Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea at all.
That's my 2 bills.
Until they see the difference in sales after 3.
I get it. And I'm not trying to take away from K-12. I'm just trying to help the state.
Understood.
So, okay.
Awesome stuff, man. Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon. Yep. Thanks for having me. Good to meet you.
Thank you very much. Great. So that was the continuation of this is one of those Washington Mardi Gras. Is my mic on for Facebook? Okay. This is one of those continuations from Washington Mardi Gras. Why I love going. I met Andrew up there. He explained all of it. Now there was a lot of vodka soda on my end, but I got the full scope of the whole thing while David St. Germain was on stage up in Washington Mardi Gras. So I wanted to have that follow-up conversation because it's the setup conversation for the upcoming legislation, because that's where the rubber is going to meet the road. Yeah. We are doing a decent job of playing catch up for the absolutely abhorrent job we've done with our veterans. It's like we're getting there. Right. No. 20 years of where to go, what to eat, what to wear. It's all like, yeah. It was difficult when he was explaining it to me. It was actually difficult not to make the comparison to prison. And then uses the term three hots at a cot. Yeah. But like, I do the weather here, and yeah, go ahead and get Senator Miguez on while I'm doing weather, please. All right, time to get a look at your forecast, and here's what we've got going on today. There's still some fog floating around out there, but that should burn off throughout the day today. Now, the hard part is between the fog, you're not going to get a whole lot of sunshine because we got rain coming through. In fact, looking at the forecast, it'll be more along the lines of this evening and then in the overnight hours. About 6, 7 o'clock tonight, you're going to have about a 40% chance of rain, and then the overnight hours, it's really going to ramp up. Tomorrow, we're going to have thunderstorms, a 90% chance of rain tomorrow with a high of 79. Overnight low tomorrow night into Thursday is going to feel a little bit more like wintertime temperatures, or a little bit closer, as we're going to have an overnight low of 50. We'll top out at 61 on Thursday, top out at 64 on Friday, and then roll the rain back through for opening weekend at the box. Right now, it is, we got some fog out there at 67 in downtown Baton Rouge. 842 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Still playing catch up. Man, it has been a busy show thus far. We're efforting State Senator Blake Miguez right now. Should have him on the hotline in just a quick second. While I do have a moment, got to remind you about the YouTube giveaway. Talk 107.3 is now on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel at Talk 107.3 Baton Rouge. Right now, all subscribers will be eligible to win tickets to see A Night of Comedy with Jim Gaffigan and Sebastian Maniscalco. That's coming up Thursday, February 20th at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. Watch and subscribe today at the Talk 107.3 Baton Rouge YouTube channel. All right, joining us now is State Senator Blake Miguez. Senator Miguez, how are you, man?
Good morning, Brian. How's everything on your end?
Doing well. Dude, it's been such a busy show. I mean, we've just been slammed all morning long. So I appreciate your patience and waiting for a couple minutes. We had to talk with Andrew Ward from the Boot, talk about helping former military members transition back into civilian life. So it's a worthwhile conversation to be had.
Well, that's great. Now we get an opportunity to talk about lowering people's personal income tax, corporate income tax, repealing corporate franchise tax, and all the wonderful things that we did in the recent tax session.
Yes. That's the whole topic for today is how do we take what we did and move it forward? How do we capitalize on it?
So there's a fiscal session in front of us in the springtime, but we still have one hurdle before we get there. As you know, in November, we had a special session on taxes where, like I just mentioned, we lowered the personal income tax rate to a flat 3%, giving everyone across the board a tax decrease, including our seniors, by doubling their standard deduction. We also lowered corporate income tax from 7.5 to a flat 5.5%. We repealed corporate franchise tax, and we put a process in place that could get rid of local inventory tax on small businesses. But all that was done through statute. There is a constitutional amendment that will be on the ballot on March 29th, which gives the voters the opportunity to thumb up or thumb down what the legislature has done. And in order to see the benefits of the comprehensive tax reform that our state has put in place to be more competitive with other states across our great nation, the voters would have to support that measure. And that's what the voters are going to see on the ballot coming up on March 29th.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, all the work could be for naught?
No, I'd say that half of the work is going to rely on the voters to give us approvals. Like, for example, we had gone into the Constitution, and right now we have a cap on the rate of which the maximum rate of income tax at 4.75%. We have lowered that to 3.75%, which makes it really difficult for a future legislature to ever raise personal income tax. As a taxpayer, I think that's a great thing. I mentioned earlier that we are doubling the standard deduction for seniors. That way they can get even more of a personal income tax break because they're on a fixed income. Well, that's in the Constitution amendment as well. We also have an instrument in there that creates actually a new limit on government spending by adding a government growth limit on reoccurring expenditures, trying to make sure that the government doesn't grow out of control. There's also a permanent teacher pay raise, which is in the constitutional amendment that makes permanent a $2,000 pay raise per teacher and a $1,000 pay raise for support workers. I mentioned earlier about the inventory tax on small businesses. We put a process in place that requires some constitutional changes, which would allow local parishes to opt out and receive a one-time lump sum payment for no longer having a local inventory tax. A lot more details in the constitutional amendment, but it is the finishing touches to what I believe was a very successful tax reform session. And if that happens on March 29th, we'll go into the fiscal session in the spring, and we will look at our projected numbers, our revenue numbers, and figure out even more ways of how to continue lowering the personal income tax, how to continue investing in road work and deferred maintenance, and looking at how to make Louisiana more competitive moving into the future.
We're talking with Senator Blake Miguez about the upcoming, well, a big chunk of everything is based off of the upcoming constitutional amendment. Senator Miguez, you may have covered this, but and I apologize if you didn't, and you already talked about it, but when it comes to managing our taxes in Louisiana, cutting government spending is a big piece of the equation. Y'all have been painted into a corner to only be able to cut healthcare and higher ed on a regular basis without things going back to the people. Is that part of the constitutional amendment as well, to kind of open things up to give y'all to allow y'all to give everything a look?
Yeah, it takes a lot of the special funds that are in the Constitution and moves those to statute by still maintaining a 2/3 voter threshold. Give the legislature some more flexibility to how they can better use fund balances that have been sitting in funds for a number of years, or how to spread those cuts out across the board if necessary. But it's also important to mention one thing about this constitutional amendment. Brian, I want you to hear this, because this is the rumor that spreads around and it kind of pops its head up here and there. The homestead exemption remains the same and is not touched in the constitutional amendment. So don't let anybody start that rumor out there. This is to make Louisiana more competitive and to finish up the work of the legislature. But there's a lot of great future ahead for Louisiana. I can tell you spending reform, as you mentioned, Brian, is very important to me. We fought very hard in the tax session to get some commitments from the administration to offer a standstill budget in the upcoming session, this will be the second year under Governor Jeff Landry where they'll offer a standstill budget with no growth. We've also put together a committee where the governor has called the Fiscal Responsibility Program. I like to call it La Doge, being from Louisiana. And it's going to look for efficiencies and ways to cut the waste out of our budget. I'm happy to be as appointed and honored to be appointed as a member of that committee. And we look forward to making sure that the taxpayers get a better return on their investment. And we leave sort of the sins of the past in the past and move forward in Louisiana in a way that we can be more competitive with our peer states. We can attract our youngest and our brightest back to this state. And we can make sure that we create jobs and economic prosperity for future generations.
Got just a couple minutes left with State Senator Blake Miguez. Let's talk about that La Doge for just a second, because I think one of the things that's getting lost in the overall discussion on the national scale when it comes to Doge is that it's not just about cutting, it's about reprioritizing as well. Our state constitution is only over 50 years old now. How important is it to make sure that that discussion revolves around our priorities are different?
You bring up a great point, Brian. It's not necessarily about cutting. It's about making sure that the taxpayers get a better return on their investment and making sure that we prioritize things that matter to people. And everyone has different priorities, but a lot of those are in common: fighting crime, educating our children, making sure that we have a great job environment here in Louisiana, fixing roads, a number of other things. And we want to make sure that that's where those taxpayer dollars are going towards, not being wasted by government bureaucrats, or finding out that things that you find your tax dollar going towards, you never allocated in your personal budget or your business budget. And we're trying to take some business and private sector experience, bring it together with legislative members, and figure out a way to run state government more like a business. We're asking Louisiana to live within its means. We're asking our state government to operate more like you, the listener, has, and the taxpayer has to do with your personal household budget or your business budget. It's just we're trying to bring a little bit of common sense to Baton Rouge. I know that Washington, D.C. could use a lot more of it, but we're trying to bring it here in Baton Rouge and make Louisiana's government as good as its people.
Well, if nothing else, the discussion's being had on every level, federal, state, and local. And I love to see it, because if you remove everything else from it And if we're going to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, then the people need to speak up every so often.
That's right. And I think the people will get an opportunity to see their legislators at work and to give us their ideas. So look, La Doge, if, as you see with Elon Musk on the federal level, he's accepting ideas from everyone's normal citizens. And I think the La Doge on the state level will do the same. And I hope that we'll find ways to cut not millions, but tens of millions and hopefully hundreds of millions out of this budget, reprioritize those things on things that matter, Brian, things that we reformed recently, like fighting crime, our educational choice program, making sure to rebuild our infrastructure and our roads. And Brian, I've had some conversations with Governor Jeff Landry. And if we make this economy more prosperous here in Louisiana, we want to give some of that money back to the citizens by lowering personal income tax. We have a goal, and I know the governor shares our common goal, of at one day making the personal income tax rate in Louisiana 0. And the way you do that is by buying it down incrementally. And I hope over this term we get an opportunity to vote several times on lowering the personal income tax.
Tell me you're not spelling Doge, D-E-A-U-G-E.
I love that idea. We might change the spelling of it after this radio interview, but no, it's L-A-D-O-G-E, but we might have to change it. You're right.
He is State Senator Blake Miguez. Let's reconnect right after that election because that's going to set the table for the legislative session.
I'd love to, Brian, and thank you for having me on the show. And thank you for all the listeners out there for your support. And I encourage you to go out there and support the constitutional amendment on March 29th. And God bless the great state of Louisiana.
He is Senator Blake Miguez. Appreciate you hopping on board. We'll talk soon. Quick break. Coming back. We'll close it out next. So could have had a few more guests on to make you hustle even more. I mean, was that too much? Oh, shit. All right. I have one more promo that has a sponsor attached and one more live read. I'm going to make Mathern's good tomorrow. I never even got around to the whole going back to the Doge thing. Senator Elizabeth Warren not doing her party any favors at all. Emotional hyperbole is a thing of the past. She's I'm going to get the quote close, and my impression is spot effing on. By the way, this is like giving a bank robber. No, this is like a bank robber firing the cops and turning off the alarm before going into the lobby. That's my Elizabeth Warren impression. I stand by it. Yes. Look, I hate to be all. Yeah. Well, no. Not just that, but we're like, okay, here's the bank statement, and we're gonna chop this out of it, though. But like, this is part of a process, and everything will be litigated. Kimberly says Andrew has great energy. Enjoyed his segment. Yes, he does. And the work that he's doing, God bless him. And the work that he's doing, it's twofold. Okay, as a Louisianan, I want to end out migration in every avenue we can. Oh wait. 856 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. Don't forget, download the free Talk 1073 mobile app. Find out what you missed each day at talk1073.com and watch us live on Facebook and the Talk 1073 Baton Rouge YouTube channel, all courtesy of Lake Urgent Care. Lake Urgent Care, walk-in care for minor illnesses and injuries. Been a busy show, and we still got to hit the outside in. Before we do, though, want to welcome Cajun Soft Wash to the show. It's just about spring cleaning time, y'all. That means inside, outside, taking care of your home. Cajun Soft Wash is here for you. It is a safe and effective way. When I say safe, I mean a protective and effective way to clean off your roof. Check them out online at CajunSoftWash.com, CajunSoftWash.com. Look, we put a new roof on the Haldane house. Don't need Cajun Soft Wash just yet, but as I move forward with this new roof, I want to make sure it's taken care of, and I want to make sure that it is done so in a way that protects the longevity of my roof. When you go to CajunSoftWash.com, click on the little drone cleaning tab. That's where my eyes went first. Unbelievable technology. They keep your property clean. It's never been easier. Cajun Soft Wash brings innovation to the forefront from their professional drone cleaning services. It's perfect for those hard to reach areas and expansive properties, those great slopes that you have on your roof and whatnot. Learn more at CajunSoftWash.com and call them at 225-612-5988 for Cajun Soft Wash. All right, outside in, let's hit it. Ooh. Starting off at Ascension Parish, State Police said 25-year-old Abdul Raham Ali was spotted driving a car involved with an armed robbery in Gonzales. Police officers and Ascension Parish Sheriff's deputies tried to stop Ali near the corner of West or East Roth Road and South Burnside Avenue. LSP said Ali got out of the car with a gun, shot it in the air, and then pointed it towards officers. They responded. Ali is dead. Heading over to Livingston Parish, a boil water advisory has been issued in parts of Walker following a line break on Monday. The advisory was issued around noon yesterday from Carroll Avenue going north to North Corbin Road. The order will be in place through today at a minimum. Closing out in Jefferson Parish, Kenner Police Chief Keith Conley said a Slidell woman arrested in connection with the death of a Kansas City reporter is now suspected in a previous incident in the French Quarter. Telemundo correspondent Adam Manzano was found unresponsive late Wednesday in his Kenner hotel room. He was in the New Orleans area covering the Super Bowl. Police said Colbert has a lengthy criminal history, including at least 2 prior incidents where she allegedly drugs victims, takes them back to the hotel room, steals their credit cards, and more. This time, Manzano had overdosed, so she has been arrested. That is the outside in. We got to get out of here. Moon Griffon's coming up next. We got a busy show lined up for you tomorrow. We're getting caught up with Richard Sprinkle for Legally Served. We got the Queen and the Bella Baton Rouge Casino coming in as well. We'll see you then. All right, Facebook, we got to move on. We got meetings to get to. We'll see you tomorrow. Later.